Hello, Sir Ai. Good afternoon.
Hello po, I'm back.
Good afternoon, Sir Ike.
Magandang hapon po ulit. Good afternoon po ulit. Malinaw na po ako.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, hintay-hintay lang po tayo ng ano. Maghintay pa po
Sir
tayo.
Ike, good afternoon po.
Good afternoon, Dean. Medyo kukonti pa po yata tayo.
Sir Ike. Good afternoon, Sir Ike. Opo. But there are 3 speakers po ngayon. Baka po tayo. We are now 31 in this one I think is in the Zoom. I don't know in the YouTube. Baka po meron na tayong tao sa YouTube. Baka marami na rin po.
Ano po, kasi send ko lang po ng mga 76 na po ang ano.
Ayun, marami na.
Ayan, sige.
Marami na, Sir Ike. So we can start.
Sige po. For attendance, bago natin simulan ng ating afternoon session, so can you type your last name dun sa ating mga nanonood sa ating YouTube channel, live stream sa YouTube channel ng Minsu, and dito din sa ating live sa ating Zoom conference. Paki-type mo na ang ating surname or last name. So we would know if everybody is ready for the afternoon session. Sige, wait lang po ako ng responses. Wala pa nagta-type. So we have Brocal, Hiner, Brocal, Hineta. Okay, so I guess naririnig naman tayo ng malinaw and we are ready for the afternoon session. So once again, to our dear faculty members, our dean, to our pre-service teachers, and our guest speakers from the Department of Education, Calapan City Division. To our viewers online, good afternoon and welcome back to our webinar on K-12 basic education program. So we are now on the second part, and we are going to have 3 speakers and demonstration teaching as well for this afternoon. So to begin with, without any further ado, because we are going to have speakers pa for the whole session sa ating sa afternoon session. So let's begin this with our first lecture on K-12 classroom assessment. And this would be given to us by an education program supervisor of the DepEd Calapan City Division, none other than Dr. Elsa M. Lim.
Ayan, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Pagbati po ng magandang hapon to the Mindoro State University faculty and staff. And syempre po sa bida ngayong hapon ang ating mga future teachers. So I am Elsa M. Lim, the Education Program Supervisor in Mathematics of Schools Division of Calapan City. So I will be sharing my screen, sir. Pwede na po ba ako mag-share?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you po. Ayan. Okay. So this presentation po that I will be sharing this afternoon is actually a slide decks from the foundation course that I have attended or had attended when I was a school head at Seriaco A. Abes Memorial National High School. Okay, so we will be talking about classroom assessment. Okay, so before I proceed, let me check your participation or your level of engagement, dear future teachers. May I request to, how do you feel right now? Okay, so please type in at the chat box any emojis or emoticon that represent your feelings. Okay, let me see po. Yan, merong blessed. Thank you po, sir. Yan, si sir. Si sir lang ata. Thank you, sir. Tayo lang dalawa ata nandito sa platform. Okay, oh, merong feeling cool. Nakita ko. Ayan, ayan. Thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you po. Right? Ayan. Okay. So thank you for your responses, dear future teachers and everyone who are in the platform and others who are in the YouTube. Ano po? So thank you po. So this afternoon, as I said, I will be sharing. Nagmo-move po ba ang aking ano? Parang hindi nagmo-move. Ang slide deck. Yan. Okay. So the objectives of this session are the following. First is to identify the general principles of classroom assessment in the K-12 basic education program. The second is enumerate the different types of assessment and their uses. And the third is illustrate how learners' grades are recorded and computed. So actually, I will be sharing po 2 DepEd orders that will discuss the classroom assessment of the K-12 program. So the first one is this, the DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015, and the other one is the DepEd Order number 31 series of 2020. This is the interim guidelines, classroom assessment during pandemic. Okay? So mas maganda po na maintindihan nyo rin na medyo meron lang naman pong konting revisions or konting pagbabago dun sa ating K-12 DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015. Okay? So yan. Now, let us have this first activity. May I request everyone to say something about this picture. Okay? So, may I request again to type in at the chat box your responses. Okay, the first question is, which among these animals do you think will be exerting more effort in order to do the task? Okay, let me see. The fish, okay? The fish, right? Some more? Okay, may dalawang sumagot. Thank you po sa inyong dalawa. Okay, fish. Meron na, nadadagdagan. Another? Alright. So, thank you po sa tatlong nagsagot. Next, which among these animals do you think will be exerting a less effort? Okay, the least effort in order to do the task. The monkey? All right, monkey? The monkey. How about the bird? Okay, monkey. Ayan, so thank you ulit. Thank you again sa mga nagsagot po. Now, would some animals be able to do the task if they are given the proper training and enough time? What do you think? Would some animals be able to do the task if they are given the proper training and enough time? What do you think? Just type in yes if you agree. Animals would be able to do the task if they are given the proper training and enough time. Or you may type in no if you think even they were given the time and you have also exerted efforts to be able to these animals do the task given. Okay, let me see your responses. Yes, yes, no, no. Okay, so you have different responses. Ano po, nakakatuwa. Okay, okay, no, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yan. And the last question is, okay, thank you po again sa mga nagsagot. The last question would be this. Do you think the assessment is fair and appropriate? Okay, just type in your answer, whether yes or no. 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 Okay. No. Ayan. Alright. So, thank you so much. So, again, thank you so much po sa inyong mga responses. Now, let us continue discussing and somehow you will be realizing if your responses are correct or if the responses that you have given is are really appropriate for the questions. Okay, so next. Hindi na naman umibo. Saglit lang po at naghahang. All right. Now we will be discussing now what is classroom assessment. So this presentation is based on Depth Order number 8, series of 2015. And this is entitled Policy Guidelines and Classroom Assessment for the K-12 Basic Education Program. Okay. Now what is classroom assessment? This is a process used to keep track of the learner's progress in relation to standards and the development of 21st century. So take note on the word, it's a process. So meaning it does not merely tells us that assessment is about test or examination, okay? It involves a lot of process, okay? It is used to provide basis for the profiling of student performance on the learning competencies and standards of the curriculum. So the word here, the key word here is profiling of students. So why do we need to profile our learners based on the results of our assessment? Because it helps teachers to understand different learning needs of different sets of learners, right? So this slide is showing us how or this Venn diagram illustrates how assessment is linked to standards and pedagogies. Assessment, as I said, is important to understand our learners better, their learning needs, and what they can do, or their strengths and weaknesses. So from this point, appropriate teaching strategies can be applied in order to support and strengthen the attitudes, skills, and knowledge of learners, thus attaining the K-12 learning standards, right? And we also have these principles of classroom assessment. Actually, there are 6 principles of classroom assessment. So the first one is assessment should be aligned with objectives, learning standards, and competencies. So what does it mean? Classroom assessment is aimed at helping students perform well in relation to learning standards, which comprise, so what are these learning standards? These are the content standards, performance standards, and the learning competencies. And these are actually outlined in our curriculum guide. So dapat makikita yung seamless connections between the objectives, the learning standards, and the competencies up to the assessment. Okay? Wala dapat hihiwalay. Next, principle 2, assessment should be more like instruction. So what does it mean? Assessment is an integral part of teaching and learning. Okay? Ito po yung sinasabi ko pa rin kanina na wala dapat mahihiwalay. Ano po? It recognizes and deliberately considers the learner's zone of proximal development. So appropriate assessment should ensure learners' success from guided to independent learning and transfer, right? So we should take note on this zone of proximal development. Our learners should be guided and should be supported for them to be able to become independent learners, okay? Then the next principle is assessment should recognize diversity of learners. Teachers should provide multiple ways of measuring varying abilities and potentials of learners and use of appropriate assessment approaches. So we have to think, we should always consider the individual differences of our learners. So just like from the picture that has been shown or presented on the first slide, we have to consider the learning needs of the different sets of learners. Okay? So principle 4, the formative assessment should scaffold the learner's summative assessment. So let us take note on the word scaffold again. So nandito na naman yung scaffolding. So formative should serve to inform decisions to increase learning. This assessment should support the learners in raising the bar of achievement. Yung tipong they will take the summative assessment as sisiw na lang, ika nga ng mga bata. Sisiw na lang because they have already taken this and the less learned competencies have been addressed already. Right? Hindi yung tipong magugulat na lang yung mga bata when taking the summative test. Hindi magsasabi na bakit may ganitong items, hindi naman ito na ituro sa amin. Alright? So, yan. So, the formative assessment should help and support our learners to be able to perform in the summative assessment. And next, the principle 5 is assessment results should be used by teachers to help students learn better. So, meaning, assessment results should not judge our learners because of the result of the assessment. Rather, it should guide us as teachers to help these learners to become a better learner. So parang ganon, hindi yung ang baba ng kuha ng siguro kung ano-anong, yun, ang dami na nating nasabi. But actually, we have to look into the reason why our learners are performing this way, right? Next, principle 6 is assessment is a joint process that involves both teachers and learners. Ito napakahalaga nito, that we have to communicate the assessment results not only the assessment results, but during the assessment process, there is this open communication between the teacher and the learner. Okay, the learner should be informed on how she is going to be assessed, and the results would also be informed. And that would only be possible if there's an open communication between the teacher and the learners. All right. In crafting or in framing assessment tools, whether it's formative or summative, teachers are encouraged to look into the importance of this revised taxonomy, right? So makikita po natin from 1956 to 2001, there's now a revised taxonomy or Bloom's taxonomy. So nagpalit lang naman yung nasa uppers because creating is the most important part, I think, that we could say that our learners have achieved this competency if they were able to create something out of the different competencies they have learned. Ano po? So usually in our instructional supervision and observation of classes and checking of the assessment tools of our teachers, most of the questions are crafted, constructed, or framed using only these two levels or dimensions. Ano po? Nandito lang sa remembering and understanding. So how would we be able to create learners who are having this higher order thinking skills if they are given questions or assessment tools which only fall under remembering and understanding. So yun, ito po ay palaging reminder sa ating mga teachers to frame, construct assessment tools which include all these dimensions, okay? So that we could produce this, what we call the 21st century learners who are critical thinkers, right? So there are two types of classroom assessments. So we'll just focusing on the differences between the formative and summative assessment. So what is this formative assessment? So this is how our learners in the K-12 program are being assessed in the classroom using the formative assessment and the summative assessment. So what does formative assessment mean? In the formative assessment, it is defined here as an ongoing process to provide learners with immediate feedback on how well they are learning. Results of this assessment are documented but not included in computing grades. Okay, so take note on that. The results of the formative assessment are recorded but not graded or not included in the computation of our the grades of our learners. Okay? Ano yung purpose po, ma'am, ng formative assessment? Bakit kailangan pa siyang i-record? Hindi naman pala siya kailangan sa computation ng grades. Okay? It is a process that involves teachers using evidences. So, okay, the records of the formative assessment results will serve as evidences about what the learners know and what they can do, right? So that we can improve our teaching. So in this process, through the teacher's immediate feedback, it will help learners to take responsibility of their own learning, and they can identify the areas where they do well and where they need help. So that's how important formative assessment is. Wag nating nilalang lang. Formative assessment lang naman yan, hindi naman yan kasama sa grading, okay? Or sa computation ng grades. But formative assessment plays a crucial role for the learners and for the teachers as well to be informed on how the learners progress in our classroom. Okay? Yan. So in this slide, it gives us the idea on when formative assessment may be conducted. Usually, sasabihin natin, before the lesson, ma'am. Hindi ko na kasi tinanong, nandiyan na yung presentation. Before the lesson, may magsasabing during the lesson at merong magsasabing after the lesson. But actually, it could be conducted before during or after the lesson. Okay? Before the lesson, the learner understands the lesson's purpose and identifies what they know about the topic. Right? Sa teacher naman, teacher determines what the learners know and can do. Right? So that's before the lesson. During the lesson, the learner can monitor one's progress, while the teacher can track the learning progress in comparison to formative assessment results before the lesson. And after the lesson, the learner recognizes whether they have met the learning objectives, while the teacher assesses whether learning objectives have been met. Okay, so formative lesson can be conducted before, during, or after the lesson. So actually, it is the heart of the teaching learning process. Ano po? Kasi in that way, we can actually see who understand the lesson by merely asking them questions, by sharing their ideas, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so how about summative assessment? So this is used to measure whether learners have met the content and performance standards. The results of this assessment are used as basis for computing grades. Ayan, so yun kaibahan naman. The summative test results are used to compute for the learner's grades. Okay, and it is usually conducted at the end of the unit or the chapter or at the end of the quarter. Okay, so there are three components of the summative assessment. So meron tayong written work, performance task, and quarterly assessment. So ano yung kalimitang binibigay natin sa written work? So this component ensures that learners can express skills and ideas in written form, like essays, written reports, and other written output. While sa performance task naman po, this component allows learners to show what they know and what they can do in diverse ways through group presentations, oral work, and research projects. And sa quarterly assessment, this component measures student learning at the end of the quarter through objective tests, or it could be performance-based assessments. And okay, so this formative and summative assessment can be done individually and collaboratively. Yan. So yun po yung mahalaga dyan. Collaborative assessment also encourages our learners to develop their kasama kasi sa 4Cs ng ating K-12, communication, collaboration, in order to achieve this 21st century skills. Yan. Again, let us have this chat box activity. So I'm showing here a picture of kusina ni Sasing. Ayan. Si Sasing po ay ako. Yan po yung palayo ko sa aking pamilya, sa mga kaibigan. Ayan. Kusina ni Sasing. Based on the definitions and examples that I have provided or shared with you, or maybe alam nyo na rin po talaga yung meaning yan ng formative and summative assessment, how would you differentiate formative versus summative using this picture? Okay. May I see an answer po, the chat box? How would you relate the meaning of formative or the difference between formative and summative based on this picture? Sa kusina ni Sasi. Anyone po? Or kung meron naman pong gustong mag-share, pwede din naman po, you may open your microphone and speak out your idea about this. Anyone? Ayan, parang wala pa nag-chat. Okay. Sino po kaya ang pwedeng mag-share? Di po kami makapag-unmute, ma'am. Ayan. Sige, sir. Kung hindi po kayo makapag-unmute, pwede po bang pakitype sa ating chat box? Any idea about this picture relating to formative and summative assessment? Okay. So parang wala, ano po? Ayan, sige, sige. Kung hindi po kayo makapag-unmute, alright. In this picture, it also tells something about formative and summative assessment. So habang niluluto po natin, halimbawa, sinigang na baboy, ano po, sinigang na baboy. So while we are cooking this sinigang na baboy, this actually formative assessment, di ba? Nag-a-adjust tayo dito. Kapag kulang ang alat, dadagdagan natin ng asin. Kapag pagka kulang ang asim, dadagdagan natin ng sampalok. Yan. Right? So that's formative. We do everything and we do all the possible ways in order to come up with a very masarap, very masarap. So isang napakasarap na sinigang na baboy, okay, or sinigang na pork. Okay? When our family tastes this sinigang na pork, that's actually a summative assessment. Okay? So doon na i-evaluate kung gaano ba yung effort na in-exert mo para mapasarap mo itong lutong ito. Ayan. So that's the difference between a formative and summative assessment. Ano po? So alam ko meron kayong mga iba pang mga ideas on this picture, and kahit po dire-diretso lang yung aking pagsasalita, you may type in your ideas or other ideas na nakikita nyo po dito sa picture na ito. Ano po? Yan, titikman. Tama, Sir Jess. Formative, titikman yung pagkain para malaman or ma-adjust ang lasa. Summative, kapag ka po ihahain na, and that's an overall evaluation. Thank you, Sir Jess. Yan. Okay, so others are also encouraged to type in your idea. Meron po kasing merong ibang pagtingin. Okay, pero kaya ding i-relate sa formative and summative assessment. Thank you, Sir Jess. Right? So, how are our learners, or how are the grades of our learners being computed? Okay, so what is the grading system? So the grading system in the K-12 program is standards and competency-based. It is based on the learner's weighted score and summative assessment. Okay, and these grades came from the written work, performance task, and quarterly assessment. That's from grades 1 to 12. Sa kindergarten po, we use checklists and anecdotal records instead of numerical grades. And they have these compilations of learners' output. So what are these? These examples or writing samples, accomplished activity sheets, and artwork. And this has to be kept in a portfolio. So for grades 1 to 12, no required number of written work and performance tasks, but this must be spread out over the quarter and used to assess learners' skills after its has been taught, okay, or its unit has been taught. Now, how is this, the learner progress recorded and computed? So here are the steps on how these grades are being computed. So, syempre, meron tayong tatlong components. I-add mo na po yan. Add the grades from all the learners' work, and this will result in the total score of each component. Okay? Total scores are summation of all the results in written work, performance task, then one for the quarterly examination. Then, divide the total raw score by the highest possible score and multiply the quotient by 100%. Okay, so yung process po nito ay nandito naman sa sunod. Ayan, step 1. Okay, So I will just be sharing you this. Ano po? So actually, pinapakita lang po dito kung paano kinukuha talaga yung or paano kino-compute yung grades. Ayan. So i-add ang written work, ang performance task, and quarterly assessment divided by the highest possible score times 100. Ang tawag po dyan ay percentage score. Okay? Tapos kapag nakuha ng percentage score ng bawat component, you have to get the weighted score. So, paano kukunin ang weighted score? So, bawat learning area po, meron tayong weighted average or weighted score. Itong 30%. Languages, ito po yung Filipino, English, AP and ESP. Okay, ang written work po niya ay 30%, performance task is 50, quarterly assessment is 20. For science and math, 40, 40, 20. Sa MAPE, 20, 60, 20. Mamaya po, dun sa isang DepEd order, yung interim guidelines under the new normal, magbabago po yung percentage na yan. So makikita po nyo na mas focus ang performance. Ano po, mas tinaasan yung weighted score ng performance during this pandemic. Okay? So yan, ito naman po yung sa grades 11 to 12. Yan. Ang weighted score ng core subject and sa work immersion, sa TVL, nandyan din po. Okay. Ayan, that's how we compute the final grade. Meron pa tayong initial grade na tinatawag. Okay? Initial grade and the transmuted grade. So the transmuted grade is the final grade. So meron pong transmutation table. Right. So wag po kayong mag-alala, dear future teachers. When you are in the field already, meron po tayong tinatawag na e-class record. And that e-class record will compute for you. Ito lang po dito pinapakita lang on how the grades are being computed, but actually meron po tayong ginagamit na e-class record. So you will just encode the scores of our learners and automatically it will give you the final grade. Okay? The final grade of our learners. So makikita po natin dito sa transmutation table, a learner should have the 60 initial grade to be able to pass the learning area para magkaroon siya ng 75. Okay? So this part or this slide also shows how our learners should be graded. Not based on numerical ratings. Pinapakita rin po nito na naka-embed po sa K-12 curriculum yung values formation ng ating mga learners through this core values. Okay? Makadiyos, makatao, makakalikasan, at makabansa. Right? So, itong 4 core values na to ay meron pong behavior statements and indicators so that the teachers and advisor could easily take note on the values of our learners. Okay? So development of learners' cognitive competencies and skills must be complemented by the formation of their values and attitudes. And anchored nga po dito sa ating core values. These core values have been translated into behavior statements and indicators have been formulated for its behavior statement. So nandito po, makikita ng mga teachers and advisors the indicators para maging makatao. Right? The schools may craft additional indicators but must ensure that these are gender sensitive. Right? And the class advisor and other teachers shall agree on how to conduct these observations and discuss how each child will be rated. Hindi po ito trabaho lang ng class advisor. Okay? So, teachers or subject teachers and the advisor must sit down and talk on how would be the process or how would they go about giving the rating for each of the learners. Okay? So, ito po yung mga non-numerical ratings, AO, SO, RO, and O. So, that's always observe, sometimes observe, really observe, and not observe. Ito naman po yung checking of attendance. Yan. The learner's attendance shall be recorded. Okay, shall be recorded by teachers daily. And the attendance is reflected in the report card at the end of each quarter. Incurred absences of more than 20% of the prescribed number of class or laboratory during the school year or semester will result to failing grades. So say for example, an average of 200 days po ang school year natin sa DepEd. So 20% of 200 is 40 days. So kapag nakapag-incur po ang ating mga learners ng ganun kadami na absences, they may be that will result to a failing grade. Pero hindi naman po umabot sa ganun kasi nga po teachers are really doing their best to reach out for these learners who are having or incur this number of absences. Okay, exemptions may be given by the school head should the learner have reasons considered valid by the school. Okay, when absences cannot be avoided, the school give the learner an alternative methods and materials that correspond to the topic's competencies that will be missed. Okay, so meaning kahit nung face-to-face pa po, teachers are encouraged to really provide different modalities in order to support our learners. We are really are encouraged to have this distance learning to be able to reach out those learners na nakakaranas po ng ganito. Okay? So sa final grading naman po ng ating mga bata, paano sila mapopromote to the next grade level? The requirements are this. If there is a final grade of at least 75 in all learning areas, the learner can be promoted to the next grade level. If they did not meet this expectation in not more than 2 learning areas or at most 2 learning areas, they have to attend the remedial classes and they have to have this mark. Kailangan mapasahan po niya yung remedial classes. Otherwise, the learner is retained in the same grade level. And if they did not meet expectations in 3 or more learning areas, they are retained in the same grade level. So, tandaan po natin yun. Kapag at most 2 learning areas ang failed ng learners, they have to undergo remedial classes or they have to attend remedial classes and they have to receive a passing mark at the end of the remediation in order to be promoted to the next level. Pero kapag po 3 or 3 or more na yung failed subjects niya, retained na po yun in the same grade level. Okay? Must pass all learning areas in the elementary. Kailangan meron siyang elementary certificate and promoted to junior high school. Must pass all learning areas in the junior high school, earn the junior high school certificate, and promoted to senior high school. Okay, so this DepEd order number 8 series of 2015 will end up in this slide from Albert Einstein, which says that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So meaning this line from Albert Einstein reminds us to really consider the individual differences of our learners. So we have to give them an individualized assessment based on their ability, based on their needs, and based on their capacity. Okay? So, thank you so much. Yun po yung una, pero I still have another presentation. Okay, so madali na lang po ito kasi po ito yung Okay. So ito po yung isang DepEd order on assessment in the K-12 curriculum. It's DepEd order number 31 series of 2020, released on October 2, 2020. It is entitled Interim Guidelines for Assessment and Grading in the K-12 in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. So bakit po kailangan mag-craft ang DepEd ng another guidelines for assessment, wherein we have this DepEd order number 8 series of 2015. So here are the reasons. This issuance is a means to adapt to the implementation of alternative learning modalities that help ensure the learners achieve essential curricular goals. These times call for creative and innovative ways of designing optimal learning experiences and in assessing learning progress. So di ba po, talagang nahirapan tayong mga teachers on how to conduct assessment during this pandemic. Okay, so the principle adhered to by DepEd order number 8 series of 2015 is still holds true. Assessment should be used to inform and improve classroom practices as well as promote learning outcomes. So under distance and blended learning, we should utilize alternative tools without creating undue pressure on teachers, learners, and their families. So it's actually a help for the teachers, for the learners, and for the parents as well. So this issuance covers all public elementary and secondary schools. And take note on this, private schools, technical and vocational institutions, and higher education institutions, including state and local university and colleges offering K-12 basic education program are encouraged to implement this interim policy guidelines. So they're only encouraged, because private schools and institutions are permitted to modify these policy guidelines in accordance to their philosophy, vision, mission with the approval of their respective DepEd regional office. So in the practice of DepEd Calapan City, ganito po yung directive talaga sa kanila. They are encouraged to implement this interim policy guidelines, and if they opt to revise this or they have this modification, they are advised to request or send letter to the regional director for the modification of this DepEd order. Okay. So the policy principles of this DepEd order are the following. First, the Department of Education is committed in ensuring the continuity of education while looking after the health, safety, and well-being of all its learners, teachers, and personnel. Schools must adopt assessment and grading practices that can most meaningfully support students' development and respond to varied contexts at this time. So this is a good actually a good action of the DepEd in order to really support us teachers and the learners as well. So the policy principles is almost the same as the DepEd order number 8. Kaya lamang po, meron ditong konting revision. Syempre kasi nga po iba yung modalities natin ngayon. So take note on the first principle, meron na tayo ditong most essential learning competencies. So during this pandemic, not all the competencies stated in the curriculum guide are used in the teaching learning. Meron lang pong ginawa o binigay na most essential learning competencies. So from the many competencies from the original curriculum guide, dito lang po nag-focus during pandemic, the most essential learning competencies or yung tinatawag naming MELCs. Okay, the same yung second principle, assessment is integral for understanding student learning and development. Next is a variety of assessment strategies is necessary. Same pa rin po yan. Assessment and feedback. Ito ang nadagdag po dito. Nun sa una, assessment and feedback should be a shared responsibility among teachers and learners only. So during this pandemic, our family or the family of our learners are considered important component para po mas ma-conduct ng mas maayos ang assessment natin sa ating mga learners. So in here, the families of our learners are included. Okay, and the last one is assessment and grading should have a positive impact on learning. So it's just the same policy guidelines. Ano po? Okay, so what are the policy outcomes? Teachers, school leaders, learners, and parents should commit to uphold the integrity of learning and instruction in the context of distance education. The main desired outcome of this policy are to ensure that all learners are fairly assessed and graded in the continuation of education during this health crisis. To emphasize that learning standards shall be attained with the provision of reasonable leniency and considerations for possible difficulties met by the learner. So, how do we do this? So what are the procedures? Distance learning poses challenges for teachers and learners in the conduct of assessment. So ito po yung result talaga nung aming kumustahan sa paaralan. Meron po kasi kaming ginagawa talagang ganyan, face-to-face and virtual kumustahan with all the teachers of our schools division or kahit po saang division dito sa Mimaropa region. Ano po, we have this kumustahan and ito yung pinaka kumbaga the worst challenge talaga po ng mga teachers na sinishare nila sa amin on how to craft and provide assessment tools for the learners during this pandemic. Lalo na sa mga performance tasks kasi hindi daw naman talaga pati yung sa modules hindi talaga bata yung nagsasagot kundi yung mga parents maybe because the roles of the parents were not really communicated to them before the start of the classes or siguro talagang ang mga parents ay na-overwhelmed din sa sitwasyon na ito. Hindi nila alam kung paano tutulungan yung kanilang mga anak. So, they just did what they know is right for their kids. So, yun po yung nangyari sa ating So, yun. Yun ang ang kalimitan talaga or most of the challenges that they have encountered really is on how to conduct assessment to these learners. Okay? So, in that DepEd order also, nandun po kasi yung roles and responsibilities ng teachers, learners, and parents in conducting assessment. So ano ang roles ng teachers? Stated here are the following. Design the assessment to allow for flexibility in multiple modalities. Ayan. So kita po dito kung paano in-encourage ng ating mga teachers to have this flexibility to conduct different modes of assessment to our learners. Okay? They are also encouraged to communicate to learners and parents and guardians the design and standards for grading the assessment. They have to set up mechanisms to monitor and record progress remotely, giving timely, constructive, and relative feedback, facilitating remediation for learners who need further guidance. And all these activities were actually, we have, through this kumustahan po, we were able to assist our teachers to be able to conduct this roles and responsibilities in proper way. So, yung maganda po talaga yung naging pamamaraan itong kumustahan na ito kasi lahat po talaga ay na-overwhelm. So, tulungan ang mga schools division personnel, tunulungan kung paano ikakandak ng mga teachers itong assignment at paano gagawin ng maayos itong mga bagay na ito. Sa learners naman, they are expected to be proactive in updating their teacher of their situation, progress, and challenges encounter. Kaya kasama din doon sa kumustahan po namin yung the results of the monitoring, the self-monitoring tool. Napakahalagang tool po ito during this pandemic para sa mga learners. Kasi doon, may voice out nila yung kanilang mga challenges din as learners. Ano po, masasabi nila doon kung ano yung kanilang pangangailangan at kung ano yung nagpapahirap sa kanila during this pandemic. Okay? Ito yung sample ng self-monitoring tool. So in here, makikita po natin that every day, they have to fill in this table kung ano ba yung kalalagayan nila while having this modular learning at home or distance learning. Yan, tingnan nyo po. Naka-column siya may question para sa mga mag-aaral. Anong asignatura na pag-aralan mo ngayon? Lunes, Martes hanggang Sabado. Kumusta ka naman sa aralin ngayon? Ayan. So isusulat nila. They will express their sentiments here in this self-monitoring tool. Tapos may mga gusto ka bang itanong sa iyong guro? Ito po yung sa modular. Pero ang ating pong mga teachers talaga are exerting their efforts in order to reach out these learners. Hindi lang po sila umaasa dito. They are actually having this group chats with the learners, group chats with the parents, ayan, group chats with the members of the barangay council, ayun, yung mga kasama nila sa pag-distribute ng mga modules. Ano po? So meron ding part dito para sa magulang kasi nga the parents serve as the teachers at home, yung mga home tutors po natin. Ayan, meron ding simpleng checklist para sa kanila. Nagawa ba ng iyong anak ang kanyang mga gawain sa paaralan ngayong araw? Ayan, ititik lang po nila dyan. Nagawa, hindi nagawa. Ayan, nagawa ng may tulong. Okay? So, kumusta ang pag-aaral ng iyong anak? May mga gusto ka bang iulat o itatanong sa kanyang guro? Isulat dito ang iyong mga punaong suggestion. Ayan. At meron din naman para sa guro. Okay? So, itong mga tool pong ito, assessment tool or self-monitoring tool, ang nakatulong ng malaki para po mas mabigyan ng attention ang ating mga mag-aaral. Okay, so ito naman yung roles ng parents and guardians. Okay, DepEd aims to develop independent learners who can study on the assessments on their own. However, in this school year's implementation of distance learning, parents and guardians play a crucial role in guiding their children in adapting to the changes of distance learning process. Thus, only when necessary, parents, guardians are requested to assist in the assessment process by communicating with the teacher to give updates on their child's situation, progress, and challenges encountered, and guiding their children in accomplishing the assessment tasks and or monitoring tools designed by the teacher. So malinaw po dito na parents should only guide their children in accomplishing the assessment or performance task, not they will do the assessment for their child. Okay? So, yun nga po, dapat open communication talaga between the parents or constant communication between the parents and the teachers and the learners. Okay? So, yan. Sa planning of assessment naman po, ayan, teachers are encouraged to be creative and flexible in assessing student learning while still adhering to the principles of quality assessment practice. With safety, health, and well-being foremost in mind, assessment decisions must be made in the best interest of all learners. Teachers should ensure that all assessment activities are aligned with the most essential learning competencies, reliable, valid, and transparent, fair, inclusive, and equitable, practical and manageable for both learners and teachers, and gives learners a range of ways to demonstrate their learning, provide timely and accurate information as basis for feedback. So there are a lot of modes that teachers do in order to reach out really or to monitor the progress of the learners. Okay, so yung po yung nakita namin na sa kabila ng hirap ng mga teachers, ng mga learners, ng mga parents, they were able to actually assist our learners kasi ito talaga ang pinakahirap po talaga ay learners sa panahong ito. Okay? Kaya ini-encourage talaga yung mga teachers na mas maging creative, mas maging innovative. Hindi lang siya isang modality talaga or isang pamamaraan para ma-reach out or mabigyan ng assistance ang mga learners. Okay? And teachers are really doing that. Yun po yung maganda. Ayan. So ito po ay mga reminders pa rin on what to consider on deciding which method to use. Okay? Yan. So yan na rin naman po yung self-formative assessment. Okay. So ito po, dun sa DepEd order, nandun na rin lahat po ng kailangan ng teachers. these are some of the strategies o provided na po yan sa teachers. Babasahin na lang kung paano pa nila gagawin yung assessment practices during this pandemic. So nandito po kung paano gagawin yung formative assessment in asynchronous and synchronous. Okay? Yan. Okay. So, yan naman po ay ating na-discuss na kanina. Meron din pong sample doon sa assessment resource book. Actually, meron po ang DepEd noon. Guided na rin po ang mga teachers on what specific assessment tools could be provided to the learners. Anong written output ang pwede, anong performance task, anong product ang pwede sa bawat learning area. So I'm just sharing you 2 learning areas lang po ito, pero nakalist na po doon at those are included in the DepEd order. Tsaka assessment resource book. Okay? Ayan, meron pong suggested assessment tools for online distance learning like this. O, pag sa language, ano yung pwedeng gawin ng guro na written output, na product, na performance task. Okay, nandiyan na rin po mga sa math, sa science, actually lahat po ng learning areas, meron po niyan. At ito naman po ay dun sa modular distance learning o meron din po for online and modular distance learning, radio-based and so on and so forth. Okay? Ayan, okay na rin po tayo dito. Okay? Ayan. I'm sharing you a sample performance assessment para po kasi kailangan dun sa mga performance assessment kasama talaga yung parents. Ano po? So ito yung sample performance assessment na ginamit ng isang guro po dito sa Calapan sa grade 1 mathematics teacher. Grade 1 mathematics. So mapapansin po ninyo dito, meron siyang content standards, performance standards, and most essential learning competency. Okay? Anong week siya? Anong quarter? Ilang oras siyang ipe-perform ng bata. So mapapansin po ninyo dito, may note for the parents, kasi grade 1 lang po yan. And the parents are the home tutors, kaya meron talagang dapat nakalaan na instruction sa parents. So, at ang mas maganda po dito, naka-state siya in English and Filipino para dun sa mga hindi po nakakaintindi ng English. Okay, so ang sample dito for the parents or para sa mga magulang, please prepare the following materials and assist your child to accomplish this task. Okay, assist your child. So, kailangan malinaw doon ng role talaga ng parents. Ano po? So, ito yung mga materials. Ayan, nandyan ang instruction. Gupitin at buuin ang mga sumusunod. Hayaan ang bata ang gumupit at bumuo nito gamit ang mga inihandang kagamitan. Maaari siyang tanungin ng mga sumusunod. Ayan, may tanong diyan na nakalagay at yun yung itatanong ng home tutor or ng parent. O anong yung mga nabuong 3-dimensional figure? Ayan, tapos meron din po dito na rubrics for assessment. So maaaring magulang po ang mag-assess niyan base sa performance ng kanyang anak. Okay? So yan po yung sample na ang magulang ay kasama sa performance assessment pero hindi siya yung gagawa. Ano po, malinaw na naka-indicate doon na susuportahan lang niya at aalalayan ang kanyang anak sa pagbuo. Nire-require or ini-encourage din po ang mga teachers na magkaroon nitong integrative or thematic performance task. Kasi po kung iisipin ninyo, kung may 8 subjects at lahat ay magbibigay ng performance assessment or performance task sa mga learners, ay diga po ay hilong-hilo na ang mga learners. Okay? So they are encouraged to have this integrative or thematic performance assessment wherein all learning areas will sit down and map out their competencies, alin yung magkakaugnay at pwede nilang pagsamahin sa isang performance task. Okay? So yun po yung mga pamamaraan in order to support also our teachers na hindi mahirapan sa pag-craft ng mga assessment tools and mas madali din sa ating mga learners. Okay? So yan, feedback and remediation. Yan. So malinaw naman po doon na feedback is really necessary, immediate feedback, on-time feedback. Yun po yung nakakatulong din para mas matulungan natin ang ating mga learners. It's not just about helping them, but actually motivating them to learn. Okay? So assessment should be a source of motivation of our learners, not the source of depression. Kasi yun po yung nangyayari ngayon lalo na ano po, sa ating mga bata. Because of the so many tasks given or provided by the teachers, it caused actually it demotivates our learners. Ano po? So, dapat ang assessment ay hindi panakot pagsuporta. Ano po? Yun yung dapat malinaw para sa ating mga teachers. Okay? Consistent with DepEd Order number 8, teachers should ensure that learners receive remediation po yan, when they earn raw scores which are consistently below expectation in summative assessment by the 5th week of any quarter. This will prevent a student from failing in any learning area at the end of the year. So this line emphasizes the importance of remediation within the quarter and after the quarter. So hindi naman po talaga ang DepEd nagpapasa yung mass promotion. Actually, we are doing our efforts in order to provide remediation. Kapag nakikita natin sa records ng bata natin yung results of the formative assessment, ay bakit kaya itong batang ito ay pababa ang scores. Yun yung the best na role or tawag dito, yun talaga po yung purpose ng formative assessment results. Natatrack natin kung bakit nagkakaganon yung performance ng ating learners. So we could do something para matulungan na kaagad natin. Then at the end of the quarter, at ganun pa rin, so we have to do this remediation period. Meron po talagang allowed na remediation period after the end of the quarter na may failing grade ang bata. And after the end of the year, at meron pa rin, nag-failed pa rin siya for the 4 quarters, meron pa rin po kaming 6-week remediation period para matulungan ng bata na mag-promote into the next level. Okay? So, yun na po yun. Ayan, grading promotion. So, ito na po yung sinabi ko kanina. Ano po? Yan, ito yung kaninang sinasabi ko po na naiba ngayong pandemic about the weight. Ano po? So, 40-60 na siya kasi wala na po ang quarterly examination. Yan. So, yun po. Quarterly examination, we're given a weight of 20% in the previous issuances and it is no longer part of the grading system this school year. Yung 20% na yun ay dinagdag po sa inihinati dun sa mga weights, pero more on performance task po. Tingnan nyo sa languages, AP and ESP, 40-60 na siya. Science and Math, 50-50. MAPE, EPP, TLE, 30-70. So yan po ang ating grading system during this pandemic. Okay, ito naman po yung sa senior high school, 40-60 ang core. Other subject ay 40-60, immersion is 50-50, sa TVL is 30-70, more on performance tasks. Okay, ang pagko-compute po is just the same as the DepEd Order number 8, series of 2015. Kaya nga lang po wala diyang quarterly assessment. Okay, so yan. Yan, the same transmutation table. Yan, the role of technology. Ito po talaga yung nakatulong ng malaki sa ating mga teachers during this pandemic. Technology plays a substantial role in helping teachers in the development, communication, implementation, and grading assessment tasks. Okay, meron din pong sample ng matrix ng low, medium, and high technology. So provided po lahat ito sa ating DepEd teachers. Titingin na lang po dito at babasahin kung ano yung appropriate na technology that could be used for assessment for remote learning. So meron tayong low technology, medium technology, and high technology. Okay? So ayan po yung mga sample. And I think this is the last slide. Take note po that DepEd Order number 8 series of 2015 15, that's policy guidelines on classroom assessment for the K-12 basic education program, is still in effect, but its provisions inconsistent with these guidelines are suspended for the upcoming school year. Right? So thank you po. God bless and keep safe.
And there you have it. Thank you very much po, Dr. Elsa Lim, for that very comprehensive discussion on the K-12 classroom assessment. So once again, we would like to say muchimas gracias, merci beaucoup, domo arigato gozaimasu, daghang salamat, madamo gid nga salamat, Diyos mabalos. Thank you very much from the bottom of our heart. Thank you for sharing your expertise
Thank
with
you po.
us and for preparing our pre-service teachers. At this juncture, we would like to present to you our certificate of appreciation for the effort that you have, for the expertise that you have shared. Let me just share my screen for a while. So once again, we would like to present our certificate of appreciation. And let me read the content first. So Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro Certificate of Appreciation is hereby awarded to Dr. Elsa M. Lim in grateful recognition for her valuable insights and expertise as a resource speaker during the webinar on K-12 education program for the pre-service teachers. Given this 4th day of March 2022 at Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro. Signed, Dr. Romeo C. Castillo, Dean, College of Teacher Education, and Dr. Nemesio H. Davalos, the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Liam, for sharing your time and expertise with us. God bless po. So once again, our dear participants, if you have questions, so just type in your questions in our chat box. Same as true with those who are watching from our YouTube live stream. So you could have your questions in the comment section, and then later, if we would still have time, we will be reading your questions, and we will be trying to answer those questions. Okay? So maraming salamat po ulit sa ating speaker. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to acknowledge first the presence of our faculty trustee, Professor Jessie T. Zamora. Magandang hapon po. Welcome sa webinar.
Good afternoon po, Mr. President, to Dr. Jessie.
So let us proceed with our next speaker. So this is, I guess, a continuation of our lecture on the classroom assessment. He will be discussing or having a lecture on the K-12 classroom assessment in terms of face-to-face and online classes. Okay, and he is also an education program supervisor of the DepEd Oriental Mindoro Division. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present to you or to give you this afternoon for the lecture, Dr. Dindo M. Generato.
Hello? Hello po. I hope you hear me.
Po.
Yes, I hope everybody listen, napapakinggan po tayo ng loud and clear.
Yes, po.
Sir.
Yes,
Sir.
maraming salamat po. Check din po natin kung makikita po natin yung presentation.
Nakita po.
Okay, so it's all about assessment. Tama po ba ako?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, po. Yes.
Okay, sige. So let's start with the discussion. Anyway, this is just a continuation of Dr. Lim's presentation when it comes to assessment. Siguro konting pahapyaw lang tayo. But I guess we have to start with your questions. Pwede bang questions na agad ang simula natin? Palagay niyo po. But anyway, since medyo meron tayong two groups of participants. Just correct me if I'm wrong. We have two groups of participants. At ang groups po natin for participants ay isang naka-FB live at isa pong nasa platform ng Zoom. Am I right to our facilitator?
Yung ating pong isang set of participants are viewing from YouTube po. YouTube live
YouTube,
okay. Streaming po.
Okay. So for the YouTube and of course at the same time dito po sa platform ng Zoom. Tama po ba ako, sir?
Yes po.
Okay. Napapakinggan niyo naman ako kahit may mask or should I remove my mask for audibility of my sound? Ano pong suggestion niyo? O mas maganda po kung halimbawang ganito, mas malinaw? Ano po kaya?
Okay na po yan, sir. Kung saan
Okay na.
komportable.
Sige, para mas kita nyo rin ako. And for those who have a very good access in internet, if you wish to open your camera, mas maganda po. Kasi mas magandang magsalita pag may nakikita. For those lang po na meron siyang access sa net na malakas or stable. But for those who are attending the YouTube live, of course, sigurado ako hindi makakapag-open kayo ng camera. Okay? Yan. Thank you very much to our MC, right, Sir Enrique? Tama ba ako? Yan. Okay. First of all, I would like to extend my deepest thanks to Dr. Romeo Castillo. Tama ba ako? To our for inviting me in this endeavor. No, I guess there are 561 BSED right now who are preparing for their pre-service teaching experience and for 60 BEd pre-service teachers. Medyo social na ang dating ngayon, ano? Kasi Mindoro State University na to. Kasi dati tanda ko nung 2009 or 2010 habang ako ay nagpa-pre-service ang tawag sa amin practice teachers. Pero ngayon medyo nag-level up kayo into pre-service teachers. So let's start with the assessment. Ano po? Since this is a continuation of the report o yung presentation po ni Dr. Lim, medyo mabilis yung pacing natin. Siguro yung mga questions and answers nyo, yung mga questions niyo, mas maganda kung nag-jot down kayo ng notes, especially to our student teacher participants to please jot down notes with your questions. Okay? Para po makita natin kung ano po yung mga mangyayari. And at the same time, if you want to be involved with our chat room, you may chat your questions right away para po hindi nyo makalimutan, para at least ma-address ko agad. Okay? Anyway, this is just a 1 hour or 1.5 hours for the presentation. So let's get the ball rolling. So my title is all about assessment. Assessment, evaluation, test. These are all three terms which are used interchangeably. But take note, my dear teachers, my dear future teachers, that these three words are different from one another. And later on, you will, you will discover the differences of these three. Okay? So the assessment that I'm talking with is during this new normal. This new normal. Basically, this new normal gives us the switching of the perspective when it comes to assessment. Number one is during new normal, hindi po nyo actual na nakikita ang inyong mga estudyante. Though it is virtual, hindi pa rin actual. Medyo may limitations tayo pagdating sa ganyang sistema. So when it comes to assessment, good teaching is more a giving of right questions than a giving of right answers. So I would like to reiterate that it's all about giving right questions in the assessment rather than encouraging the students to give the right answers. Always remember this. If you want a right answer, there should be a right question. Kaya lang po yan. Dapat mag-manifest kayo kasi yung mga teachers ngayon, no, tulad ko, kapag po ako'y nagtanong at hindi nakukuha ng bata kung anong dapat niyang isagot o hindi ko mag-gather kung anong isasagot niya, I usually reconstruct the question. At pag nag-reconstruct ka ng question, doon nakikita ng bata kung ano yung gusto niyang sabihin. Kapag hindi siya sumagot o hindi kayo nagtanong, sabi nga nila, lagi nating napapakinggan yan, it's all about number 2. Two options. The first one is that hindi natin nauunawaan at padalawa ay sobra naman nating naunawaan kung bakit hindi tayo nagtanong. Pero during kasi sa actual teaching learning process, dapat si teacher magaling yan magtanong para ma-accelerate yung utak ng mga bata. Kung mayat-maya ang tanong mo lang ay very objective at ang sagot lang ng bata ay date, people, place, yung very specific na sagot, masasanay sila yung tinatawag nating very basic na part ng ating taxonomy. Tama yung sabi ni Ma'am na may mga revised taxonomy tayo na mas maganda at pwede nating i-apply. So it's more on right questions rather than the right answers. And if you want to have a lively discussion, you have to formulate a very good question. And that question will trigger their thinking capabilities, yung tinatawag nating thinking beyond thinking. Na yung experience ng bata ay atin pong natatouch. Kapag ang bata ay involved sa pagtatanong, I tell you, walang batang hindi tataas ang kamay para sumagot. And we are preparing for that because the Division of Calapan City is now having their limited face-to-face class. And Oriental Mindoro, nakatapos na rin po kami for evaluation. And we are expecting that this coming weeks, magkakaroon na rin ng face-to-face implementation ang Oriental Mindoro. And good luck to those teachers, participants, ating mga practice teachers. Good luck po sa inyo kapag po yung school ninyo na na-assignan ay nagkakaroon na ng limited face-to-face. Okay? So this is not just the normal setup. This is called the new normal setup. At kailangan po ay tayo po ay sumunod sa mga ganitong bagay. So the discussion of the assessment is all about the continuation of the interim guidelines for assessment and grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. The Department of Education issued DepEd order that discussed the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. And that includes the operations, the assessment, the protocols of our government when it comes to the pandemic of COVID-19. So we are hoping, especially kayo pong mga teachers na andyan, the DepEd is expecting you to read all the guidelines and necessary DepEd orders and issuances when it comes to the new normal. Hindi po pwede na pupunta kayo sa school tapos hindi nyo nababasa itong mga guidelines na to. Ang suggestion ko po is that basahin po ninyo ang mga guidelines na to para pagdating po ninyo sa inyong school na assigned area, ay hindi po kayo makukulture shock. Kasi kung hindi nyo po mababasa at wala po kayong basis, from time to time magtatanong kayo dun sa sa inyong cooperating teacher, baka sasabihin sa inyo dapat as part of your training is that nababasa natin yung mga issuances. And for that issuances, you may log on to www.deped.gov.ph and you can access all the information there together with the issuances like DepEd orders and DepEd memorandum signed by our DepEd Secretary Leonor Magtoles-Briones. Okay? So kailangan kung passion nyo ang pagtuturo, kung talagang desidido na kayo sa pagtuturo at mag-prepare service kayo, I hope nababasa nyo po itong mga issuances na to. Now, when it comes to these interim guidelines, it's all about principles of assessment. Pahapyawan lang po natin, why do we need to give assessment to our students. At napakahirap. I know the state universities and colleges will agree na napakahirap magbigay ng grade kung hindi mo naman nakikita yung estudyante mo, di ba? Parang ano yan parang nanguhula ka. So basically, kung katanggap-tanggap sa'yo yung ibibigay mong grade, lalo na tayong mga teacher, ano yan tayo kasing mga teacher, napakabigat sa kalooban kung magbibigay ka ng grade where in fact, parang ayaw mo siyang bigyan ng ganung grade. Kasi nga, based on your standards, hindi siya pumapasa. But then again, new teachers are very idealistic. The term is idealistic. I believe in that. Because you're from your undergrad and you are full of ideal concept, and when you're in the battlefield, nagiging idealistic tayo. There's no problem with that. But you have to adapt. Yung adaptation natin. Kahit mataas ang standard mo when it comes to assessment at naandyan yung actual scenario, you have to adapt. Ano ba? Bakit merong ganon? Kasi baka doon sa 100 students mo, at dahil idealistic ka, 20 na lang yung pumasa. Tapos sasabihin mo, it's not my fault. It's the fault of the students. But the bottom line is, may magtatanong po sa inyo. Ang tanong dyan is, ano po ang ginawa nyo? Nung nalaman yung bumagsak yung 80 na estudyante nyo, ano pong ginawa nyo? So that is the dilemma of our teachers, yung lalo na tigit na mga bago. Kung kaya nyo pong suportahan at kaya nyo sagutin yung tanong na anong ginawa nyo, kung bakit bumagsak o bakit hindi pumasa ang bata, so be it. There's no such thing as mass promotion. Wala po tayong DepEd order na nagsasabi that there's a need for a mass promotion. Pag sinasabi nila yan at napapakinggan ko, medyo sumasakit ang puso ko. Na pag pumasok ka sa DepEd, pasado ka sigurado because of mass promotion. Wala pong ganung konsepto. Kung ang bata dapat ibagsak, ibagsak nyo. Kung ang bata dapat pumasa, ipasa nyo. Di ba? Ganun lang po yun. Pero ang tanong, kung ibabagsak nyo siya, ano pong ginawa nyo? Nagbigay po ng test. Bumagsak po sa test. Pagkatapos, ano pong ginawa nyo? Nagbigay po ng remedial. Bagsak pa rin. Pagkatapos po nun, ano po uling ginawa nyo? So, walang katapusang anong ginawa nyo. But then again, if you can justify all your reasons, so be it. Okay? So, justifications lang. Principles, number one, if you want to give an assessment, it should be holistic and authentic. That is true. No? Kabuuan ng bata at yung kanyang, yung authenticity on how you capture the attainment of the most essential learning competencies. At kanina ipiniliwanag sa inyo yung tinatawag nating most essential learning competencies. The MELC is a part of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. I guess it's all parang mga nasa 800 pages na nakalagay po doon yung mga most essential learning competencies. But I want to reiterate that the MELC is based on the curriculum guide. Just because of the existence of pandemic, our curricular specialist, trinim down nila yung mga competencies at yung mga essential lang ang kanilang kinuha. Kaya ang tawag po doon is most essential learning competencies. So I hope if you are asked why there's an MELC, pare-pareho po kayo ng sagot. Ang mahirap po niyan is that if you're part of the DepEd at tinanong ka bakit may MELC at ang sagot mo ay iisa at ang sabi mo lang ay hindi ko po alam. Nirelease lang po yan ng DepEd. Hindi ko po alam kung bakit nagkaroon ng MELC na yan. Nahihirapan nga po ako dyan. Diba? So again, it's all about adaptability. Another principle is that it is an integral part in understanding student learning and development. How will you measure the understanding of the student if you don't give an assessment? There are many ways on how you assess your students. Even your observation in class, you can assess ang kanilang learning. And ang learning kasi malawak yan. It's a wide perspective on how you deal with the assessment and how you deal with the learnings of students. hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na hindi natutunan ng bata. Kahit pa meron kang binigay na assessment at bumagsak ang bata, hindi mo kayang panghawakan na ang bata ay hindi natuto. Maybe because nung nagbigay ka ng exams, napagalitan yung bata. At nung napagalitan yung bata, psychologically, mababa talaga yung exams niyan. Pero subukan mo kung ang bata nag-almusal ng fried chicken, di ba? I tell you, nasa mood swing din yan, di ba? Ang tanong dyan, bakit may bumabagsak sa exams? Kukuha kayo ng exams after this. You will be taken your licensure examination for teachers. And wag po kayong manghihinunga kung bumagsak kayo. Wag din kayong wag po kayong mawala ng pag-asa. Lagi niyo pong tatandaan that you have to accept that when you take examinations, two things may happen to you. Yan lagi nga ang sinasabi. Kung hindi ka handa na tanggapin ang alin sa dalawang bagay, huwag kang kumuha ng exam. Masasaktan ka. Parang pag-ibig lang yan. Kung hindi ka iibig, dalawa lamang yan. It's either masaya ka or masaktan ka. Ngayon, kung hindi ka handa na masaktan ka, di huwag ka manligaw, huwag ka magpaligaw, di ba? Ngayon, kung kukuha ka ng test, dapat yung setup ng mind ng mga estudyante natin is that dalawa din yan. Dapat handa kang bumagsak at handa kang pumasa. Di ba? Kung hindi ka handang bumagsak, huwag ka nang kumuha ng exam. Kasi ang exam, it's a matter of syempre yung pasado at syempre yung bagsak. So laging ganyan, okay? You have to accept. Kaya sa assessment, kung gusto, wag kang wag kang mayayamot kung ang bata bumagsak. Kaya nga sino ba may dala kung bakit bumagsak ang bata? Nagbigay ka ng exam di ba dalawa mangyayari noon? It's either pumasa o bumagsak. So i-expect mo na 'yon. Kaya lang tulad nating mga bagong teacher. Usually kasi yan, sabi ko nga sa inyo, idealistic at gusto niyo lagi 100% pumapasa. Pero sa assessment kasi, tama yung sabi ni Dr. Lim, no? Si Ma'am Elsa, na kasi yung konsepto ng pagpasa at assessment ng bata, hindi siya actually tumutukoy lamang doon sa mga exams na binibigay natin. So it should be a connection, there should be an integral understanding ng pagkatuto ng bata. Another assessment strategy is that, or your principle is that variety of assessment strategies is necessary. What do I mean by variety of assessment? Hindi po pwedeng isang type lang lagi ng exams ang bibigay nyo. No? Number one, we understand that there's a multiple intelligences. We understand that students are unique and they have individual differences. That's why, kung ang sinusukat mo sa assessment ng bata ay magkakaiba, as a teacher, you have also to prepare a variety of assessment. Hindi pwedeng laging written at multiple choice. Hindi pwedeng ganon. What if ang bata magaling pala sa essay? O di magbigay ka ng essay. Ang katwiran ko kasi dati na nagtuturo ako, saan ba papasa ang bata? Yan. Kasi may mga batang magaling mag-drawing pero hindi magaling mag-essay. May batang magaling mag-essay pero hindi naman magaling mag-drawing. So makikita natin yung variety ng kanilang intellectual capacity. Kaya pag nagbibigay ako, tanda ko pag nagbibigay ako ng assessment sa bata, kung hindi kayang magbigay ng essay, gumawa ng tula. Kung hindi kayang gumawa ng tula, drawing. Di ba? Bakit nyo naman ipipilit niya sa bata kung ayaw nga niya, di ba? Hindi siya ganun kagaling sa ganung part. So, kung ang hahanapin nyo lagi as a teacher, yung malinong bata, sorry to say, wag na po kayong tumuloy sa pagtuturo. Pag po tayo maghahanap ng assessment, ang hanapin po natin yung tama ng bata. That's another perspective, no? Magkakaiba kasi tayo ng tinitingnan. Kasi pag tinanong ko kayo, what's the principle of refrigeration? Siguro majority na magsasagot sa inyo is pampalamig, 'di ba? Ang refrigerator ay pampalamig. Pero pag tinanong niyo ako sa konsepto ko, hindi pampalamig ang refrigerator. Ang refrigerator ay pangtanggal ng init. 'Di ba? So may room temperature yung pagkain. pag ipinasok niyo yung room temperature ng pagkain sa refrigerator, tatanggalin ng refrigerator, ng priyo, ng refrigerant, yung init dun sa pagkain. And I tell you this in science, in the absence of hot or in the absence of warm, naandun yung coldness. Di ba? So yun yung perspective na tinitingnan natin. That's why sa assessment, hindi dapat isa lang yung assessment na bibigay nyo. Marami pong perspective yan. Another is that assessment and feedback should be shared responsibility among teachers, learners, and their families. Kanina habang nakikinig ako when it comes to crafting of lesson plan, tapos meron tayong assessment, hindi po siya responsibilidad lang ng teacher. No, inire-reinforce ko rin po yung diniscuss ni Ma'am Elsa. Napakaganda ng discussion ni Ma'am Elsa pag nakita niyo yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng kanyang concept, no? Na ang assessment ay hindi lang responsibilidad ng teachers. Number one is that wala po kayong i-assess kung walang learners. So that's why may tandem siya. It's the teacher and the learner. Pero hindi mo rin kasi ma-assess agad yung learners kung walang feedback from the family. Kasi yung family, malaking bagay yan sa assessment ng mga bata. So may I suggest that this shared responsibility, dapat matutukan natin yan. Okay? So assessment and grading should have a positive impact on learning. Anong magiging pakiramdam ninyo kapag binigyan kayo ni professor ng ano ba ang grading system sa MinSU? Is it descriptive yung mga 1, 1.1, 1.2? Tama ba ako? Paano kung binigyan kayo ng 5? 5 failing mark yun eh. Diba? Ang 3, ano yung term namin nung college kami, pasang-awa. Pero other universities, yung 5 yung mataas, yung 1 yung bagsak. Pero sa MinSU ata parang 1 yung napakagaling, then yung 5 magaling. Pero magaling, tapos yung 1 ang pinakamagaling. Di ba? So hindi tayo nagamit ng magaling compared sa bobo o walang alam. Kasi sabi nga doon, it should have a positive impact on learning. Meron tayo kasing mga way kung paano natin sinasabi ang mga bagay na hindi nakakasakit sa bata. Di ba? May mga way tayo. Pero kung kayo yung tipo na brutal, na kapag huwag ka na mag-aral, bagsak ka lang. So yung mga words na yun, as part of assessment, kasi sabi mo, babagsak na rin naman siya, hindi siya nagiging positive yung impact sa learning. No? Parang nagiging negative siya. Kaya nasa isip ng ating mga learners, hindi rin naman pala ako papasa, absent na lang ako. Hindi na lang ako gagawa, wala din naman pala mangyayari. So these principles are the basic foundation in the assessment. And sana itong principles nito, they are included in your concept na sana nauunawaan po natin. Anyway, these oral presentations, wag po kayong mag-alala. The presentations will be given to the MinSU, no? I will share it to you para po meron kayong pwedeng balikan at sa licensure examinations ninyo. I hope, no, magamit nyo to. So aside from the principles, kanina kasi pinag-usapan nyo din yung classroom assessment. So in classroom assessment, it is an ongoing process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners know and can do. So since this is an ongoing process, ang assessment nyo po ay hindi natapos lamang sa score ng bata. Whether it is a quantitative or qualitative assessment, dire-diretso po ang ating classroom assessment. Kasi kung how you interpret kung natuto ang bata, if it is quantitative from the word quantity, it's more on numbers. It's more on grades. But if you are talking with qualitative and the students can perform such competencies, so that's another option on how to assess these students in the classroom. So since it's a continuous or ongoing process, it's a cycle. It's cyclical when we when we assess our students. So sana makita natin na kung bakit ina-assess natin ang bata, it's not for the purpose of the teachers just to give grades. It is the purpose to assess the achievement, the performance of the students. Lagi po natin tatandaan that assessment is pro students. It is not pro teacher. Okay? So kapag naging pro teacher yan, you're very subjective. You're very, kasi pro teachers yan, that is for the sake of submitting the grades. Pero mas masaya kung ang assessment nyo is pro students. At wala din naman pong ibang mahihirapan yan kung di kayo. Kasi kung pro teachers yan, di lagi kayong bugnot. Pero kung pro students yan at nakikita nyo masaya yung mga bata sa pagbibigay nyo ng assessment, di sumasaya din kayo. Diba? So that is all about classroom assessment. Kanina, diniscuss ni Ma'am Elsa yung formative at saka summative assessment. At parang nakita ko yung kanyang larawan. Tama ba ako? Yung parang kitchen ba yon? Kitchen. Oo, parang nakita ko yung kitchen na present as a form of alin din yung formative at alin din yung summative. So this definition na formative, it's just about the evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. So we give formative assessment for the teachers to think kung effective yung pagtuturo niya. So through teachers' immediate feedback enables students to take responsibility for their own learning and identify areas where they do well and where they need help. Kung minsan nagbibigay din tayo ng mga assessment, whether it is formative assessment, yung ang tawag ba natin doon, is that an analysis, an item analysis, wherein you study the item number, whether it is you have to retain that or to reject. Diba? Yung mga item analysis natin dyan. Ngayon, kung i-reject natin yan, what is our recommendation? Ngayon, sa assessment, makikita niyo sa formative assessment, ito yung mga tipo na sana, no, wag na itong mangyari, lalo na sa mga makabagong guro natin ngayon. No? Kung kayo ay produkto pa ng kapag kagalit ang teacher, ay get 1/4 sheet of paper at mag-assessment, putulin na po natin ang mga panahong nakalipas. Ha? Huwag na nating alalahanin ng mga panahong nakalipas na kapag kagalit ka, get 1/4 sheet of paper and number 1. Sandali po ma'am, naputol pa po ng 1/4. Number 2. Kawawa po ang estudyante. At sinasabi ko, kawawa din po kayo. Dahil kapag kawawa ang estudyante, mamumroblema ang teacher. At kapag namroblema ang teacher, sinasabi ko sa inyo, pandemic ngayon, hindi na natin alam ang buhay ng tao, kayo din ang may stress. Okay? So may I suggest that you have to analyze your students and of course you have to understand the nature and capabilities of your students. At kapag ka masaya ang estudyante, masaya ang teacher. So mamili kayo. Masaya ang estudyante, masaya ang teacher, o masaya ang estudyante, galit si teacher. Tama po ba sir, narinig namin? Masaya din si estudyante, galit na si teacher? Yes! Tingnan ninyo, pagkagalit kayo, di ba sa classroom setup, tingnan nyo pagkagalit si teacher, di ba masaya kayo nung kayo estudyante? Kasi ginagalit nyo pa nga di ba? So hindi po dapat, dapat pareho kayong masaya. Kasi pag pareho kayong masaya, di ba masarap matuto. Wala namang, hindi naman mahirap mag-aral, hindi naman mahirap magtuto kung masaya habang ginagawa ito. So if you have that summative assessment, yun yung kanina formative, it's all about summative. Kanina parang napakinggan ko, no? Lagi po natin tatandaan yung formative kasi parang they are recorded but they are not graded. Pero itong summative assessment, they are recorded, of course, they are graded. So yun parang yun yung napakinggan ko kanina habang nakikinig ako sa inyong discussion. So summative assessment is an assessment that is usually administered towards the end of the learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies. Mostly ito binibigay yun sa, kung natatandaan niyo yung mga quarterly exams, unit tests, or chapter tests. So mga summative assessment to. Pero yung mga day-to-day process na get 1/4, ganon, yan, formative assessment yan. Bakit sir i-record? Hindi naman i-gradean. O diba? Ba't nga naman i-record? Hindi naman pala gradean. Kasi kapag ni-record mo, may basis ka kung paano mo i-assess ang learning ng bata. Hindi pwede na pagkakuha mo ng 1/4 is bubuksan mo lang, ititiklop mo, since hindi naman siya graded, under the table at isasama mo sa scratch paper. Kaya ka nagbigay ng assessment, the word is to assess. Tingnan mo kung ano yung progress ng bata. Para makita mo, baka naman kasi yung art of question mo is mali o yung art of questioning mo is sobrang hina o sobrang hirap. So, tingnan din natin. So, hindi siya assessment na formative na itinitiklop lamang, hindi nyo nare-record. Always remember this, DepEd is pursuing now and we are now based to the output performance of students. So output based tayo. Kung database tayo, kung wala kang data, paano mo masasabi na hindi natututo ang estudyante? So keep the recordings and analyze it. Ano po? Yung summative natin, nire-record nyo yan, pero binibigyan nyo din yan ng grade. So grading is a way of reporting assessment data by assisting or assigning a value to the result of a record of students' ability, achievement, or process. That is according to ASBCD 2020. So kapag kayo ay nagbibigay ng grade, ano po, it's something to do with a number, assigning a value. Okay? Napapakinggan pa ba ako? Tanong ko nga. Ma'am, napapakinggan niyo pa ako?
Yes, sir.
Bigla naman ako kay ma'am. Ano? Yung po bang mga nasa Zoom link natin ay mga estudyante din? O ito po ba ay nasa faculty or what?
Students po and faculty.
Student
Okay.
po.
Okay. Congratulations po sa inyo. Habang kasi nagdi-discuss ako dito, I am monitoring the YouTube live and we have 152 watching right now. Okay, 152. So, ma'am and sir, yung nagpapacilitate, baka kailangan ng attendance. Naku sir, 152 lang ang nanonood. Kasi pag tinitingnan ko dito sa inyong letter, so kung 561 na BS Ed at saka 60 BE Ed na teachers of participant natin, medyo marami to. Maraming absent, 152 watching lang ngayon. But anyway, it's a part of assessment. Kita nyo, nakita agad natin how to assess ilan ba ang participants natin yan. So participants from Zoom is 52 and we have, nasa na yun, 152 rin sa chat. So we have 202 participants in our session. So grading, paglalagay lang po yan ng value. Number is just a number. Ang number po ay walang saysay. Number is just a number. Walang bearing yan, walang saysay yan. Unless you give meaning to the number. Ulitin ko po number or data is just a number of a data. They have no meaning unless you give descriptions to make it more worthy. Ang numero ay mga numero lang at walang saysay. Pero ang numero kapag binigyan mo ng apelyido, siya ay nagiging mas may kabuluhan. I will give you example. 70 and 100. So 70 is just a number. 100 is just a number. There's no difference with 70 and 90. They are all numbers. But if you give description to 70, that 70 is a failing mark and 100 is the outstanding mark. Therefore, nagkakaroon siya ng kahulugan. Di ba? So pag binibigyan natin ng apelyido ang isang numero, nagkakaroon siya ng saysay. So kung halimbawa, what's the difference between 30 and 48 at ginamit mo siya as years old, so makikita mo yung difference. So grading is just the same like with that. We are assigning value and description to the assessment that we gather to our students. So this is the comparison between the formative and summative. I know you already know this part because during your principles in teaching and other teaching related subjects in your baccalaureate degree, in your undergrad degree, ito rin naman yung nakikita natin. So when it comes to formative, it's throughout the course. If you want to everyday, sige, go lang. And it will identify the gaps in improving learning. kung sa palagay mo yung competency number 2 nung itinanong mo ay bagsak. So, kailangan mo i-enhance yun. And of course, how? It's approaches that support specific students' needs. Kung ang bata ay kulang sa competency number 1, how you strengthen that? Kung kulang yung bata number 2 sa competency number 3, how will you deal with that? And for summative, as a comparison, it's all about at the end of the instructional period. Dati, it is quarterly exams or unit tests or chapter tests. Pero mamaya pagdating po natin sa online, meron pong specific yang summative test natin yan. Bakit natin kinokolekta or nagbibigay ng assessment ng summative? It is to collect evidence of student knowledge, skills, or proficiency. Now, sabi ko nga sa inyo, sa summative, they are recorded, and they are graded. Paano by exit learning products or a cumulative assessment? It depends on the formative assessment or summative assessment na binibigay po niya. Kung written or performance or ano pa ba. Depende po sa mga examinations na binibigay po ninyo. So, ang assessment po ay hindi tulad nung sinabi ko sa inyo na kapag kagalit o gusto niyo lang mag-exams para tumahimik ang bata is get 1/4. You have to plan on how you will construct your assessment. Yung kanina, yung introductory part ng ating facilitators that natanggap niya is if you plan to fail, you're planning. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Magandang konsepto yan. Kung hindi ka nagplano, ay pinaplano mo ang iyong kabiguan. Parang buhay lang. Kung hindi ka nagplano sa buhay mo, walang kahihinatnat. So kayo mga babagong magturo, planuhin niyo na po kung paano. At kung hindi niyo po maplano yan at kailangan niyo ng tulong, nandyan po ang inyong guidance counselor. Hindi po ako tutulong. Yung guidance counselor niyo po, nandyan po yan. So, planuhin niyo po. So, planning the assessment, the teachers need to be creative and flexible in assessing students' learning. So, paano niyo plaplanuhin yan? You include the learning assessment principles. The diversity, the totality, the genuineness of your assessment, kasama po lahat yan. Okay? So, since we are adhering to the principles of quality assessment practice, kailangan po makita natin yan. So, ang pag-exams ay hindi lang basta-basta. Then, you have to plan, of course. Kaya nga meron tayong mga tinatawag na, ang tawag doon, table of specifications ba yun? It's either one way or two way. Parang itinuro sa amin yan nung college sa PCC. The PCC, kung alam niyo po yung PCC, it's Polytechnic College of Calapan. Before PCC, it's called Calapan School of Arts and Trades. At wag po kayo mag-alala, ang SISAT po at PCC at ang MinSU Calapan Campus, iisa lang po yun. Okay? So yung iba nating nakikita, parang kinukumpute na yung edad ko. Si Sir pala graduate pa ng PCC. Yan. Nag-message, gusto ko lang baka naman mahili pa yung iba dyan. Gusto ko lang i-recognize si Dr. Jessie Zamora. Kasama natin sa ating online. Sir, magandang hapon po sa inyo. Yan. So, you have to plan for your assessment. You have to plan the assessment. Huwag pong hindi magplano para pong kasulad din lang yan ng bahay. Kapag hindi nyo po plinano, ang design niyan ay tagpi-tagpi. May plano na kayong bahay, gusto nyo magpasolambe, mag-extension kayo, maglalagay kayo sa likod ng CR, hanggang sa yung konsepto ng plano ng bahay ninyo ay hindi na yun yung itsura. Okay? So it's all about planning the assessment. In these times of new normal, since we are now in the distance learning modality, the teacher shall design assessment bearing the assumption that the learners will asynchronously take them and have open access to various resources. Marami tayong mga procedures on how to make the distance learning. Pwedeng magpanood sila ng mga video clips or it could be a modular learning. At pagkatapos meron kayong mga assessment na nakalagay sa modules. Yung mga babagong teachers na magpre-pre-service o mag-pre-field, huwag kayong mag-alala. Marami po tayong modules at na-provide po yung mga learning modules doon. Okay? So pag-aralan nyo po. Kaya ang suggestion ko sa ating mga viewers in YouTube, hello sa inyo, kapag po kayo nag-pre-service at kayo nag-practice teaching, i-maximize po ninyo. Kapag po sinabi kong i-maximize, pag-aralan po ninyo at i-absorb ang mga magagandang observation po ninyo kay DepEd. Para sir, yung mga hindi magagandang observation namin kay DepEd, ibaon nyo na lang po sa limot. Kasi kapag sineryoso nyo pa rin yun, I tell you, hindi kayo tatagal. Baka pagkuha nyo pa lang ng exam sa LET, hindi na rin kayo tumagal. Kuhanin ang magagandang natutunan kapag po kayo ay nag-pre-service. Yung hindi magagandang natutunan ay ibaon na lang sa limot at umisip ng mga panibagong paraan na makakatulong sa inyo. Okay? So, ganun lang naman lagi yun. And there's no such thing as perfect organization. Laging meron at merong organisasyon na lapses. At hindi pwede na laging yung principle ninyo, mapapakinggan nyo rin kasi ito, di ba? Siguro mag-agree yung mga participants natin sa Zoom, lalo na yung mga faculty teachers yung mga faculty natin na andyan, that if you don't want the system, you go out of the system. Iba po kasi yung principle ko. If you don't want the system, you try to change the system. And time will tell. Pagkaalis mo sa department or sa organization, may pagbabago. Pero sana yung pagbabago, positive side. Sa pagbabago, walang problema kung positive. Pero sa COVID, just stay negative. Okay? So, ibang konsepto natin yan. Just stay with the negative with COVID, but we have to stay positive always in our work. Lalo na kayo, mga estudyante, mga babagong sisibol lang inyong experiences. At habang sumisibol yan, alagaan po ninyo. Okay? So, in distance learning, kailangan po yan ay, siyempre, yung mga assumptions natin na yung bata nag-aaral. Mamaya didiscusin natin yung scenario sa field, no? But then again, itong mga bago natin magiging teacher, good luck po sa inyo. So when deciding on which assessment methods to use, kung paano po kayo mag-decide kung anong assessment, so you have to follow these important considerations. So what's the purpose of the assessment? It's very important to know your purpose. Kapag ang purpose mo, gusto mo lang pabagsakin ng bata, patawarin tayo sa ating mga ginagawa. Pero kung ang purpose natin is papasahin ng bata, you know what I mean, di ba? May mga teacher tayo na because of yung mataas yung standard niya, magbibigay siya ng mga out of the world na question kasi gusto niya hindi makasagot yung bata. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, di ba? The purpose of assessment is for the improvement of students. Hindi naman improvement lang basta-basta ng teacher. So what is the purpose of the assessment? Lagi po niyong tatandaan yan. And ano po yung inyong i-assess? What will be assessed? It's very important po yan. Bakit kayo magbibigay ng assessment or test? Paano kayo magbibigay o anong type o anong i-assess ninyo sa kanila? Number 3 is that which method would best allow learners to demonstrate what they have learned? So since we have multiple assessments, isipin po natin, alin ba sa mga assessments na ito ang palagay ko magde-demonstrate o mag-e-excel yung bata. Number 4 is that which method would make it easy to gather evidence of learner's progress over time? Alin assessment ang sa palagay ko makakakita ako ng pagkatuto ng bata? No, if you want to measure their language or their competency in a particular skill, so ganun po ang gagawin nyo. Number 5, will the assessment be completed individually or in groups? Sa online, medyo mahirap yung groups. Usually individual lang ginagawa. Pero kung ang estudyante nyo ay marami o lahat ay may access sa net, through distance learning, kahit online, kaya nyo mag-groupings. Yeah? So ganyan po yung ginagawa ko sa master's tsaka sa PhD class. in group. So kung paano kayo mag-group, basta ibibigay ko yung competency, so you have to work. Okay? Then, the assessment be taken at the same time or submitted within a specific period. Kung ba siya ay, yung assessment mo ba ay on the spot, kailangan makuha mo agad yung resulta. Kaya magtataka kayo kasi distance learning yan. Pag nagbigay kayo ng exams, itutulog talaga yung exam sa bahay. At magagalit kayo pagka ang sagot ng bata ay mataas. At magdududa kayo. Sigurado ako magdududa kayo. Sasabihin nyo, tagal naman kasi ng test na to. Sigurado ako, tinuruan to ng magulang. Di ba? Ang tanong, may pruweba ba kayo? Di ba? Kung wala, di maniwalaan na lang kayo na ginawa ng bata yon. Otherwise, kayo lang malulungkot. Diba? Pag nalungkot kayo, sayang naman ang mga pangarap niyo. Diba? So how will class size affects the way the assessment will be conducted? Baka naman kasi yung assessment na pinili mo ay nakadesign sa pangmaramihan pero ibinigay mo ng individual. Diba? O yung assessment mo ay pang-individual, binigay mo ng pangmaramihan o kaya naman yung assessment mo dapat ay pangmaramihan pero ibinigay mo individual. So, check din natin yan. Then, ito yung binanggit kanina ni ni Dr. Lim, Ma'am Elsa, na nowadays, tulad ng ginagawa natin, technology help. Meron tayong mga applications on how to check. May mga zippers, may mga online, what you call that, yung electronic class record para masabi kanina, di ba? Tapos meron tayong mga apps na i-scan nyo lang yung mga sagot, then magre-register na kung ilan ang tama o mali. Buti, ngayon lang po yan. Maswerte po kayong nakakapakinig na ngayon may mga ganyan na. Pag tinanong nyo po yung mga professors nyo sa MinSU, yung mga panahong una, talagang manumano ang pag-check niyan. Okay? So, how technology can help. Aside from that is that, did you know that 13% of students who fail in class are caused by faulty test questions? Kita nyo yan, ha? Hindi pa kayo nagbibigay at hindi pa sinasagutan ng bata, 13% na agad, mali na. Bagsak na yung bata. And that is because of the faulty test questions. Kaya nga kanina yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, it should be a good question in order to gain a good answer. Marami niyan, no? Marami niyan. At ang pakiusap natin sa mga ating mga mag-pre-service teachers, kapag nakakita kayo niyan, hindi solusyon na picturean at ipadala sa social media. Yan po ang trend natin ngayon, no? Titingnan yung module at pag nakitang may mali at sa palagay niya ay katawa-tawa, pre-print niya at pagkatapos niyang i-print, po sa social media. 'Di ba? O, di syempre natawa naman yung iba. Ang tanong, yung bang natawa na iba ay yung impact ba sa community ay maganda? You have to think before you click. Tama ba na i-post ko pa yung mali ng module o baguhin ko na lang para dun sa aking bata? Siyempre, nasa inyong decision niya, wala sa amin. Okay? So, it's a matter of treating good questions, bad questions, or even the mistakes of SLM. Mas maganda kasing itama natin at hindi natin picturean at i-post, di ba? Para kasing lalo na educator po kayo, it is our responsibility to educate the nation pero hindi dapat pagtawanan ang sistema ng edukasyon. Okay? Kung wala po kayo maitutulong para sa edukasyon, mas mabuting tayo tumahimik kaysa tayo ay manira sa sistema ng edukasyon. Pero kung sa palagay ninyo, good job kayo, magaling ang sistema ng edukasyon nyo at gusto nyo tumulong, go ahead. Maganda po yan. Doon tayo sa makakalikha ng kaibigan kaysa dun sa hindi at makakalikha tayo ng kaaway. Okay? So before you click and send it to the social media, try to think that it is not good na yung sistema ng edukasyon natin ay pagtawanan. At ang pinaka-the best way is that kung alam mong mali, itama mo na. Okay? So it's our sense of responsibility kasi. Responsibilidad natin yan. Lalo po kayo na magiging guro at susunod na huhubog sa ating kagawaran ng edukasyon. Okay? Kung sa mga panahong ito, at kayo'y pumasa at kayo maging guro na ng DepEd, congratulations po sa inyo. Huwag naman po kayong makakalimot na minsan tayo po ay nagkaniig dito man lang sa Zoom o kaya sa YouTube. Ano po? So, good luck po sa inyo. Always remember that 13% na agad ng estudyante ang bumabagsak kapag mali po ang inyong test questions. Aha, summative assessments, you have your written works. Madali lang po ito. Ano bang time natin? Tingnan ko po ang time natin. It's already 3:05. Po, it's all about written works and performance tasks. It's more on the side of scoring. Kung written task siya, madali lang. Pero kung performance task siya, you have to give a rubrics. Okay? Yung written kasi, kung 4 ang tamang sagot, 4 ang score niya. Di ba? Pero kasi sa performance task, you have to assess different area. So kung different area siya, in order to be not subjective with the grade, you have to create rubrics in order for you to have an objective grade. Kasi pag subjective ang grade mo, parang pag nag-check kayo ng essay, di ba? Pag nag-check kayo ng essay, at maganda naman ang sulat at mahaba, tapos 1 to 5 ang points, 5 na yan. Pero pag nakita mo, kakaunti lang sinulat, hindi mo pa mabasa at guri-guri, 1 na yan dahil lamang daw sa tinta ng ballpen. Bakit kaya alam ni Sir yun? Bakit kaya alam ng speaker natin yun? Kasi minsan nagawa ko na rin, di ba? At nalulungkot ako pagka ganun. Lalo na pagka madiskarteng estudyante at nasingitan niya ng mga love songs sa essay. Siya, tapos tayo dyan. So, we have to make a rubrics. At ang rubrics ay isang instrumento, no, to assess the learning of our students. We can evaluate the written outputs kung essay siya, kung products or performance-based naman yan, yung mga projects nila, no? Kung performance-based naman yan, yung mga actual. For example, pagsasayaw ng bata. So, performance-based yan. Kung product, kung pinagawa nyo ng lampshade. So, ito scoring guide. Doon lang nyo malalaman kung paano nyo bibigyan ang bata ng fair na grades. Kung wala kayong rubrics at titingala lang kayo sa kisame, isipin nyo yung bata. Opo, yung bata po ang isipin ninyo. So, I will give you example of rubrics. So, ito yung parts ng rubrics natin. May description, may criteria, may scale, tapos may description of performance. So pag nakita niyo po yun sa actual rubrics, so may portfolio grading, yung title, may description, may scoring, may performance. So kung sa palagay ninyo, all required items are included, so ang grade niya nasa mga 95 to 100. Diba? Kung sa palagay niyo, significant of required items are missing, so naandun yung number niya. Okay? So dito kasi pagka may rubrics ka, nakikita mo na nagiging fair ka sa bata. Sir, dapat po ba na walang favoritism ang teacher? Kayo po ang sumagot. Diba? May favoritism ba kayo sa estudyante? Magkakaroon ba kayo ng favorite sa estudyante? Sa aking pananaw, this is my personal opinion, the answer is yes. You cannot avoid with that favoritism issue in the classroom. But, you have to control that. Diba? Hindi may iwasan, pero kayang kontrolin. Yung favoritism. Magiging favorite mo baga kung talagang sakit ng ulo, diba? Favorite mong anuhin, diba? Pero pinagbabawal na. So, hindi po nyo ma-avoid yung may paborito kayo, pero kailangan nyo pong kontrolin. In the sense na hindi maramdaman ng mga estudyante na may favorite kayo. Na siya na lang nang siya. Diba? Mangyayari po yan. Pero at least sinasabi ko po sa inyo that there's a possibility. At dahil paborito nyo, baka mataas ang grade. Gawin nyo pong objective. Huwag naman pong subjective. Kaya po tayo may rubrics. Okay? Para po tayo may rubrics. So that example of rubrics. Then, kung ang bata talagang bumagsak, eto na. No? Nalulungkot ako nung I was in a private school, no? Na talagang may isang bata na bumagsak sa akin at talagang hindi po nakagraduate. Hindi ba nakagraduate? Hindi ko alam kung nakagraduate. Siguro nakagraduate din naman, pero nag-extend siya ng panibagong year. Kasi ang nangyari ay lahat halos kaming mga teachers niya failing mark talaga ang natanggap niya. But then again, in my realization, pag tatanungin ko sarili ko kung anong ginawa ko, parang nagigilty ako, di ba? So sana po sa assessment at sa pagbibigay niyo ng grade sa bata, makita po natin yung value ng bata. It's the value of the students and not the value of the grades that matters. Yung halaga ng bata. Minsan nagkaklase ako sa Villa Pag-asa National High School. That is my first school. Siyang sa public. Pero sa private, I spent 7 years in private sa Good Shepherd Academy in Victoria. Okay? So medyo hindi malayo sa puso ni Sir Dindo ang MINSCAT kasi diyan din po ako graduate ng masters and at the same time ng EDD. International student po ako niyan. Alam po ni Doc Jess yan na ako isang international student. Alam po yan ni Dr. Morris kung nandiyan po siya. Alam din po yan ni Dr. Di Maunahan. Alam din po yan ni Dr. Sino pa ba? Ang mga nakikilala ko mga doctor dyan. Ang mga professor ko po yan at kung ano man po ang aking ibinabahagi sa inyo ay resulta ng MINSCAT din po. Siyempre, president namin that time ay si Dr. Jessie Zamora. And my advisor is Dr. Di Maunahan that time. Pag po ako ay walang turo, meaning to say that is a summer break, ang pasok ko po ay Calapan City Campus. MINSCAT Calapan City Campus. Pag po ako ay nagtuturo sa Bansud, sa Villa Pag-asa, ako po ay nag-aaral sa Bungabong Campus. Kaya sinasabi ko sa inyo, international ako. Sa dalawang campuses ako pumapasok. Tapos pag may requirement sa main campus pumunta, doon po ako sa main campus pumunta. Kaya yung aking pong kapatid ay graduate din ng MINSCAT sa engineering naman po siya. Sa engineering. So pagsak ang bata, sabi ko sa bata nung nasa Villa Pag-asa, sabi niya sa akin. Pero malaking impact niya, sabi ng bata, kasi yung bata titigil na siya. So I have to make a home visitation. So nag-home visit ako, tinanong ko yung bata. Sabi ko, ba't ka naman titigil? Sabi ng bata ay, sir, ayoko na po sa school. Kasi sa school, 1 taon na po akong pumapasok, pero 70 pa rin lang po ang aking grade. Samantalang dito po sa amin, magpatas lang ako ng saging, 100 po ang binibigay sa akin. Patas lang ng saging, 100 pesos ang binibigay sa kanya. Samantalang sa school, 1 taon na siyang pumapasok, 70 pa rin lang natatanggap niya. Medyo, kung titingnan mo yung konsepto ng bata, masakit para sa teacher yung ganon. Na wala ka bang nagawa? Wala man lang akong nagawa. Bakit ganun yung thinking ng bata na kahit isang araw magpatas ka lang ng saging, 100 na binibigay sa'yo. At sa school, 1 taon siyang pumapasok, 1 taon siyang nagpe-perform, 70 lang at hindi pa nakapasa. So pag tinitingnan mo yung side, kahit pabiro siya, medyo masakit kung bakit. Diba? Kaya dapat yung mga teachers na malilikha natin ngayon, you should be reflective. Nagre-reflect po tayo. Kasi kung nagre-reflect tayo, mas nakakakuha tayo ng magandang idea on how to deal with the assessments of our students. Always remember that in feedback and remediation, teachers need to maximize available communication options. Try to communicate them. Mag-extend po tayo ng mga ways kung paano natin siya mako-communicate. Is it text, messenger, call, or kung may beeper pa, kung may two-way radio kayo, chat groups, all communication options must be, you should maximize all communications para po sila ay maintindihan natin at makausap natin. Okay? Kasi po kung hindi natin sila makakausap, medyo mahihirapan po tayo kung anong reason kung bakit kailangan nila ng remediation. So teachers should ensure that learners receive remediation when they earn raw scores which are consistently below expectations. Kung minsan, nagbibigay tayo ng grade at pag nakita natin na bagsak yung rating niya, saka lang tayo magbibigay ng remediation. Ang totoo po hindi. Bago matapos ang grading period, bago matapos before you give the final grade, dapat nagbibigay ka ng remediation. Hindi yung kinumpute mo na yung grade at nakita mo yung 74, saka ka maggagawa ng remediation. Ang remediation po, tingnan po nyo muna, i-assess nyo muna ang estudyante nyo. Siguro kung 2 months ang isang quarter, 1.5 month, i-assess nyo na yung grades ng bata. Kung sa palagay nyo babagsak ang bata, magbigay na kayo ng remediation. Para pagdating ng fourth grade, ng end ng quarter at magbibigay kayo ng grade, nakapag-remediate siya. Diba? So, pasang bata. Kaysa naman tapusin mo muna yung grade. At pagkatapos mo matapos yung grade, saka mo naman ikaw magbibigay ng remediation. Kasi nga, bagsak ang bata. Kaya nyo po kasing ma-determine kung bagsak agad ang bata. Diba? Kaya nyo ma-determine yan. So, good luck po sa ating mga magiging teachers. 152. So, it is estimated that 90% of all test questions asked, this is in US setting, na low level. So, knowledge and comprehension. Yun yung sabi ni Wylen, 1992, na 90% daw ng test questions ay low level. Ang tanong, paano mo masasabi na low ang question at paano mo masasabi na high ang question? So, I will give example. Sabi nila, this is a low level question. Write an essay explaining the decline of the fall of the Roman Empire, incorporating at least 5 of the 7 causes discussed in the class from the writings of Gibbon and Toynbee. Is this a low-level question? Always remember that low-level question doesn't mean easy. Okay? Hindi nangangahulugan na low-level siya, madali. At syempre, hindi rin naman nangangahulugan na kapag high-level siya, mahirap. No? Kasi high-level ang question na to. Which movie did you like more? Wall-E or Cars? And why? So, yung isa kasing tanong, medyo identification, you have to identify the reasons. Ito kasi, you have to explain why. But ang tanong, who will decide whether the question is very hard or very easy level? Kung yung konsepto ng item analysis i-apply, pwede nyo i-identify. Kasi mga estudyante, kapag nag-aral, yung question mo na mahirap, nagiging madali. Para din tayo, di ba? Nung estudyante tayo, kahit anong hirap ng question na yan, kung nag-aral tayo, madali sa atin yan. Pero kung kahit anong dali ng question, kung hindi natin napag-aralan, humihirap yan. Okay? So sana lahat ng ating kukuha ng exams at mga graduate ngayon, pumasa kayong lahat. At pag pumasa kayo ng lahat, alam niyo na kung saan dadalhin ang inyong mga handa. Okay? So grading and promotion. So kanina na-discuss na to ni Ma'am, pahapyawan lang natin para makapagbigay tayo ng time for question and answers, and I'm expecting 100 questions. Joke lang po yun. Kasi kukulangin tayo sa oras. But we are expecting questions. So minimum of 4 written tasks and 4 performance tasks within the quarter. Yan lang ang binibigyan ng grade sa pandemic times. Ngayon po, it's preferably 1 in 2 weeks, integrating 2 or more competencies. Kasi ang quarter ng bata ay 2 months ang tinatagal. So every other week, nagbibigay sila ng performance task. So 4 lang ang written task at 4 din lang ang performance task. Okay? Sir, paano po kapag 5 na or 6? O edi very good, masipag kang magbigay. Paano po pag 2 o 3? Hindi very good yun. Kasi according to DepEd order, minimum lang yung 4. So hindi ka pumasa sa minimum standard. Kasi 3-3 lang. Anong ginawa mo? At least yung 5, masipag. Alam nyo nang ibig kong sabihin kung 2 or 3 lang ang binigay nyo. Diba? Basta sinasabi ko, masipag yung lalampas. Now, this is an example provided by Dr. Lim. Wala na siyang periodical exams. The percentage depends on the subject. Yung mga subject na nangangailangan ng mga performance task, mas malaki yung percentage niya. I hope nakikita po ninyo yan sa screen ng YouTube. Kung malabo man ay palinawin at kung malinaw man ay tingnan sa DepEd order. Okay? So kung TLE siya or TBL, mas mataas ang kanyang performance. Kung mga academics naman ang subject natin sa senior high school, 50-50. And all other subjects naman, 40-60. Yan po ay sa senior high school. Pero meron po tayong makikita ng sample computation, possible score of a learner A, yan po magiging score niya. At kapag po kayo ay nasa field na, tuturuan po kayo ng inyong cooperating teacher. Okay? Yan po yung sample kung paano mag-compute ng grades ng bata. So you have 40%, then 60%, 40% ng 91 is 36.4, then 60% ng 75. Tama ba ako? O 60%, tingnan natin, 60% ng 15. So inad lang nila yan para makuha nila yung grade, which is 81.4. Ang quarterly grade niya ay 88. Parang nakita ko nagbigay ng transmutation table si Ma'am Lim. Okay? For your references, you may log in to www.depe.gov.ph and try to click resources and i-type nyo po yung sa DepEd order sa search engine. O kaya naman you can proceed to Google and type DepEd order number 8, series of 2015. But since we are now on the new normal, pwede po kayong mag-type ng DepEd order number 31, series of 2020, titled Interim Guidelines for Assessment and Grading in the Light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Parang nabalitaan ko ang SUCs or colleges and universities parang face-to-face ng graduation. Tama ba ako? Parang may ganun akong nabasa before na pinayagan na ng CHED na magpe-face-to-face kayo. Congratulations ha. So ito po yung mga policies sa grading and assessment. And I hope itong mga policies na to magandang basahin po ninyo. Kasi ito po ay magliligtas ng inyong kinabukasan at magliligtas ng kinabukasan ng inyong mga mag-aaral. So assessment is today's means of modifying tomorrow's instruction. Kung gusto mong i-modify at baguhin ang kinabukasan ng mga mag-aaral mo, magbigay ka ng assessment. Di ba? Ganyan. Kung gusto mong pumasa ang mga estudyante mo for licensure examination for teachers, today is the day. Today, you have to make an assessment and you have to start today para po sa mga susunod na panahon, maganda po ang inyong kinabukasan. So, I guess, because of that, mahal ta na sa Ormin. Mabuhay po kayong lahat. And ngayon po, if you have questions, syempre pwede naman po magtanong. Thank you very much and good luck everyone. Stay safe po.
Thank you very much, Doc Dindo. So, I guess we do not have questions for now. So, but we are waiting for your questions, mga ma'am and sir. If you have questions, paki-chat lang sa ating chat box or doon sa ating live stream sa YouTube. So once again, Doc Dindo Generato, thank you very much. So before we proceed to the next, so we are going to award our certificate of appreciation to our dear speaker. Let me share my screen. And let me read the content of the certificate. Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro, Certificate of Appreciation is hereby awarded to Dr. Dindo M. Generato in grateful recognition of his valuable insights and expertise as a resource speaker during the webinar on K-12 Basic Education Program for pre-service teachers. Given this 4th day of March 2022 at Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro, signed Dr. Romeo C. Castillo, Dean, College of Teacher Education, and Dr. Nemesio H. Davalos, Vice President for Academic Affairs. So once again, Doc Dindo, maraming salamat po sa inyong time and sa inyong expertise, sa inyong insights na na-share sa aming pre-service teachers and sa aming din pong faculty ng Mindoro State University College of Teacher Education.
Thank you very much po.
So kung meron po tayong mga katanungan with regards to the topics lectured or discussed by our two speakers this afternoon, so paki-share lang po sa ating chat box and then we are going to read them. Okay? So maraming salamat. Just to give you a short summary, a very, very short summary of what they have discussed. So I will just be using the quotations they have shared. So yung isa ay nabasa ko naman from the book of Dr. Purita Bilbao. Okay, na with regards to assessment, which says, and I quote, that teaching without testing is useless and testing without teaching is foolishness. And gusto ko lang ulit i-quote naman, that's on the importance of assessment, of course, to teaching and learning. And i-quote ko ulit yung quotation shared by Doc Dindo, okay, with regards to how should we give assessment. So good teaching is more giving of a right question or right questions than giving of the right answer. Okay, so yun, there should be the right question for the right situation and for the right person. So hugot nga, di ba? Sabi mahirap namang tanungin ng mahal mo pa ba ako yung taong hindi naman kayo. At mahirap namang tanungin yung taong are you sleeping with another woman na hindi mo naman pala asawa. At ang pinakamahirap talagang tanong, yung tanungin mo yung professor mo na, sir, ma'am, pasa po ba ako? Alam mo namang wala kang pinasa sa Google Classroom mo. And that sums up our topics this afternoon. So let's proceed now with our demonstration teaching. So kung meron tayong katanungan, just paki-type lang po sa ating live stream at sa ating chat box sa Zoom. Okay, and then I will be reading that later. So I guess we are ready for our teaching demo. Doc Dindo, thank you po ulit. Hope
Thank
to
you very
see you
much.
in person soon.
Kindly
Sana
extend
makasama
my
namin
deepest
kayo.
thanks. Kindly extend my deepest thanks
Invite
to
namin
the
kayo
whole.
sa aming face-to-face graduation if ever possible.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sana po available tayo sa schedule natin yan, sir. Push natin
Thank you
yan,
very much po. Okay, so I guess we're ready for our demonstration teaching. At ito ay isi-share sa atin. Ng ating from our teaching in the TVL track. So a teacher 2 from OMNHS, Senior High School, Calapan City Division. We have Ma'am Crystal Gay Olerio to be assisted by Sir Marino Cueto.
Okay, magandang hapon po sa lahat. Magandang hapon po sa Mindoro State University, Bungabong Campus, Main Campus, Victoria, Calapan City Campus, na meron po nasa FB Live, sa Zoom at saka sa YouTube channel. Napakaganda po ng inyong ginawa kasi live talagang lahat makakasali. Nice po namin pasalamatan si Dr. Nemesio Dabalos, the VP for Academic Affairs, Dr. Romeo Castillo, Dean, College of Teacher Education, and ito po yung kanina pang binabanggit ni Dr. Dindo, si Dr. Jessie Zamora na isa sa mga pumanday sa amin at alam po ni Dr. Jessie na kami yung mga produkto niya. Hi, sir. And kay Sir Christian Alberto, siya po yung aming Senior Education Program Specialist sa School Governance Operation Division ng DepEd Calapan City na lagi pong kaming kinoordinate. And also doon po sa naging kasama namin si Ma'am Eva Balinton. And I would like to take this opportunity para kasi 3 campuses po yung live. Nagkasama-sama po yung mga product, yung mga alumni ng Mindoro State University. Ang amin pong Chief Education Supervisor ng Curriculum Implementation Division, Ma'am Flory Madrid, ay product po ng MINSCAT. Si Dr. Elsa po ay product din po ng MINSCAT. And also si Dr. Maria Cristeta Andaya. And also, nabanggit na rin po ni Sir Dindo. And nakita ko rin po kanina yung batchmate ko, si Sir Jolly Masikap. Hindi ko lang yung batchmate. Kami po yung mga pioneer ng Polytechnic College of Calapan. And natutuwa po ako kasi doon sa presentation po ni Sir Dindo. Si Sir Dindo po ang counterpart ko po sa Oriental Mindoro Division. He is the Division Education Program Supervisor ng EPP, TLE, and TBL. So, kanina po halos nahimay na ni Sir Dindo. So, alam ko yung mga Q&A ay okay na. Thank you, Sir Dindo. Kasi nagbigay din po ako, nagawa din po ako ng mga synthesize ko. Pero share ko lang po yung doon sa K-12. Malinaw naman po kanina na binigyan pansin po ni ni Dr. Andaya yung Republic Act 10533. Mas kilala po doon sa Basic Education Act of 2013. And ito po ay nakapaloob doon sa DepEd Memorandum number 99 series of 2013. Nabanggit din po kanina ni Sir Romy yung mga parang tutu plan pa po. Pero ngayon po, mas kilala po ang K-12 doon sa K642 o mas kilala po sa Kinder and 6 elementary, 4 in junior high school, and 2 in senior high school. At ang end po nito ay yung trabaho, negosyo, kolehiyo. So, ang request ko lang po dito sa Zoom account o platform ay kayo po ang magiging serve namin na as learner. So, yung ating pong demonstration teacher ay tatawagin kayo. And also to check your attendance kung kayo ay talagang nakikinig. So, sa part po namin sa SDO Calapan City, sa ngalan po ng aming SDS, Ma'am Laida Mascareñas, ay willing po kami na ibigay lahat ang best ng Calapan City para po sa ating mga future teacher. Sabi ko nga po, ito po yung pagbalik tanaw sa paaralang humubog at gumagabay upang marating ang tagumpay kung saan kami ngayon. Marami po kami ngayong produkto na na talaga nakakatuwa po at isa po sa pinakamataas ngayon na may hawak ng magandang posisyon sa DepEd ay si Dr. Will Pedro Cabral. Siya po ang undersecretary natin po ngayon sa Human Resource sa DepEd Central Office na produkto po ng SISAT. Yun po. And ito po ang ating present ko na po sa inyo at alam ko po yung iba po ay malais na pero mahalaga po ito kasi ito po yung pinakabuod ng mga topic na binigay sa atin ng ating mga speaker. So, she is the TESDA National Certificate Level 2 holder of the following. Marami po. Kaya po ang pinili namin ay talagang competent. Food and Beverage Services, NC2. Agricultural Crop Production, NC2. Driving, NC2. And Management, NC2. At ito po yung isa sa mahirap naming pasahan, yung Training Methodology 1. So our demonstration teacher, Ms. Crystal Gay Aklan Oliero, Teacher 2 of Oriental Mindoro National High School, Senior High School TBL track. Thank you, Ma'am Crystal.
Thank you so much po, sir, para sa inyong introduction. Share ko lang po ang aking screen. So before po ako mag-start, ay practicing ko lang po itong aking video kung ito po ba ay itutan nyo sa video. Share screen. Okay, good afternoon po. So before I start my demonstration, I would like to greet everyone in this platform. So especially to the highly recognized school officials of Mindoro State University, to the SDO Calapan City Education Program Supervisors, to the students, good afternoon. So again po, request ko po yung may mga strong connection na kung sakali po mamaya sa ating activity, which is gagamit po tayo ng online game, ay maka-join po kayo by clicking the link na isasend ko po mamaya sa ating chat box. So thank you po. I will start my demonstration now. Good afternoon, class. Okay, so before we proceed to our lesson for today, let's have an opening prayer. Okay, so let us bow our head and feel the presence of our Lord.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. And now let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich because of what the Lord has done for us. Give thanks.
Okay, so may I request everyone to please open your camera for the checking of our attendance. Okay, so our monitress, Judith Abdon. Okay, so how's our attendance? Who is absent today? Okay, very good class. So everybody is present in the platform. So it seems that you are all interested in our subject, food and beverage services. So thank you for that. And again, give yourselves a virtual applause by clicking the clap button in your screen. So may I see? Can you please click the clap button in your screen? Okay, thank you. Okay, so now I would like to remind you once again about our 10 virtual classroom. Okay, first, create a quiet and comfortable study place or space. So be dressed for school, be on time, come prepared, mute your microphone and turn your camera on. Do not drink or eat during class. Pay attention. Don't play with your computer or other devices. Be respectful. So all of you class are empowered. So you have the power to speak. Kung meron kayong gustong sabihin or linawin sa ating klase. But be respectful. Okay? So have some fun and be creative. Okay? So malinaw ba yon? Kung malinaw, please type yes sa ating chat box. So may I see sa ating klase, kung okay na ba sa inyo ang ating classroom rules. Please type in yes sa ating chat box. Okay, thank you so much. So before we proceed, so okay, I would like to introduce to you our lesson objectives. Yan. So at the end of the session, learners are expected to. Okay, so before that, I would like to know if you really understand our last topic, which is about table setting. Did you understand, class, about the table setting? Okay, so may I ask you once again, what is the importance of table setting? Yes, Luis, you are raising your hand. Okay, very good. How about you, Hannah? You are raising your hand. Okay, very good. So some more answers. Okay, so thank you, class, for your responses. So in addition, okay, so the way you set up the table is very important because it influences three things. First, it indicates the tone or feeling that the people have about being together. And then second, syempre, yung ating mga customers or yung ating mga guests, mapipil nilang sila ay important because of the extra effort you are putting for them. And of course, kung maganda yung setup ng table, kahit ano yung mga pagkain na ihahain nyo sa table, ay sigurado naman magmumukha itong masarap at ito ay masarap tignan. So nakakatakam kainin kapag maganda ang hain sa ating mesa. Ganun din sa bahay natin, di ba, class? Kapag maganda yung hain, parang ang sarap kumain ng sama-sama ang pamilya. So those are the importance of setting the table, lalo na pagdating sa restaurant. Okay? So ready na ba kayo for another lesson? How are you, class? Are you excited to learn something new today? If yes, so please type in yes sa ating chat box ulit. Okay? So yan, yes, yes, yes. Okay, thank you so much sa inyong mga responses. So, dako na tayo sa ating lesson objectives for today. So at the end of the session, learners are expected to first, integrate values or real-life situation to the lesson, setting the mood or ambience of the dining area so customers will have a great dining experience as well. So next objective, identify the different room setup styles and 6 factors to consider in setting the mood or ambience in the dining area. And the third, demonstrate the skills and knowledge of the competency about setting the mood or ambience in the dining area. So later, you're going to demonstrate the skills and knowledge na inyong natutunan. Okay? So I will play a video na related sa ating topic for today. So please pay attention kasi mamaya magtatanong ako sa inyo ng mga questions. Okay? So please watch it.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my school morning routine. If you're new to this channel, then welcome. I'm a 16-year-old high school student with 4.0 GPA and a very promising future. And I'm also a very sarcastic person. So I'd usually wake up at 4:30 a.m. because my school started at 6:30. So the first thing I do after waking up is make my bed because it's nice to come home at the end of the day to a nicely made bed. After that, I take my super lame uniform and go to the bathroom to brush my teeth and take a shower. A lot of you guys accused me of not brushing my teeth because I didn't film myself doing it in my other routines. But just because I didn't film it doesn't mean I didn't do it, okay guys? But I know some people are still not gonna be convinced, so now I'm filming myself brushing my teeth as proof. This is why I don't like filming myself brushing my teeth because it feels super awkward. After brushing my teeth, I would then take a shower. The shower scene will be demonstrated by my raccoon. Enjoy! I'd apply some lip balm to keep my lips moisturized. Next, I'd brush my hair and style my fringe. You gotta look good for a senpai in case you accidentally bump into him in a hallway, am I right, fellow weeps? So as you guys can see, my fringe tends and get this weird parting at the right side of my face and I don't know how to control it. It's weird because my hair parts in the middle, but my fringe keeps stubbornly parting on the right side. So after multiple failed attempts of getting my fringe to look perfect, I just had to accept that, like everything else in life, my fringe would never be perfect. After styling my hair, I would then wear my tie. The teachers would always get triggered whenever they saw us without a tie. I know you guys are probably sick of seeing me eat my bland oatmeal for breakfast. So today I'm the babies out there for eating your food, but it just tastes so good, I can't help it. It's easy to make as well, you just have to mix it with warm water and voila, you have a delicious meal that looks like barf. But hey, what matters is the taste, am I right? This is actually the secret to retaining my youthful appearance. If I don't eat this for a few days, I'll return to my original form like Mother Gothel. So I have to eat this baby porridge at least once a week. After I had finished eating my breakfast, I'd go wash the dishes in the sink. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, Rafi, where's your mom? Why do you do everything by yourself? Explain! And to be honest, I'm kinda confused by that question because isn't it normal to make your own breakfast and clean after yourself? I mean, I may eat baby food, but I ain't no baby. So anyway, after washing the dishes, it's time to prepare my lunchbox. I'd usually just heat up some leftover food from last night's dinner in the microwave. And while waiting for the microwave and place it on the table. These are fried sardines and they taste really good. Next, I then wash the cucumber in the sink. So then I put the sardines and cucumber slices inside my lunchbox. My lunchbox consists of two parts which you stack on top of each other and then you secure them with an elastic. I got it from Miniso, by the way. I'd also bring my Ice Bear spoon and fork which I got from Miniso as well. And finally, I put them all into this Ice Bear lunch bag. You guys can probably tell by now that my favorite We Bear Bears character is Grizzly. So after that, I'd bring the lunch bag to the living room sofa, where I had placed all my other stuff such as my backpack, socks, and handkerchief. But before I leave, I had to head back to my room first to wear some perfume and put on my watch. Finally, I put on my socks and shoes and head off to school. So that was my school morning routine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is gonna be the last school morning routine that I'd make. A lot of people don't seem to realize that I've already graduated high school even after I told them multiple times. And they kept asking me to make an updated school routine even though I obviously don't have one. Yeah, so anyway, that's all from me today. Thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.
Okay, class. So, napanood nyo ba yung video? Okay, kung napanood niyo, let us proceed to the guide questions.
Bye-bye!
Okay, kahit simple lang yung mga details na pinakita doon sa video, I know, lahat tayo, meron tayong mga routines sa umaga na kapag hindi natin nagawa yung mga simpleng bagay na yun, minsan makaka-apekto yun sa mood natin sa buong araw. Ano? Okay, so first question. So what are the first things that you do in the morning before school? Okay, Jenriel. Okay, so very good. Okay, yung routine mo, syempre, mag-pray, mag-makeup ng bed, maligo, kumain, mag-search. Yan ang maganda sa sinabi mo, Toy. Dahil isa sa mga morning routines mo ay mag-search para sa iyong mga assignment bago ka pumasok sa school or bago ka umattend ng online class. So, maganda yun. Okay, thank you so much para sa inyong mga responses. Next, do you think you can focus on your studies without doing these routines? Why? Ayun nga, kagaya nga na sinabi ko kanina, kahit simpleng bagay pa yan, kapag nalimutan natin gawin, or kapag hindi natin nga siya nagawa, makaka-apekto ito sa mood natin at nagiging bad mood na tayo sa buong maghapon. Ano? So may mga ganyang cases, pero hindi naman lahat. Okay. So thank you sa iyong sharing, Hannah. And next, how do you feel after setting all things up before answering modules? Okay, thank you so much, Jen Riel, again. para sa iyo magandang sagot na syempre nga naman kapag na-set na natin lahat, ang sarap ng feeling natin, kumbaga, ang sarap na mag-relax, ang sarap na mag-concentrate sa pag-answer ng ating modules. So kailangan i-set muna natin lahat. Kung tayo ay nasa bahay at kayo nag-a-answer ng module, ano dapat yung ginagawa natin? So dapat ayusin natin yung place natin, yung space natin kung saan tayo mag-o-online o kung saan tayo magsasagot ng modules. Kasi kapag hindi natin naihanda yan, magulo yung ating area, so hindi tayo makakapag-focus ng maayos. Okay, thank you so much sa inyong mga responses. Okay, class. So these things are very important to be integrated in our lesson because our topic for today is about setting the mood or ambience in the dining area. Ayan. So, syempre, kailangan iset natin yung mood ng ambience ng ating dining area para nang sa ganon, maging komportable ang ating mga customers or ang ating mga guests. Okay. So, for our first activity, let's play Kahoot. So, dito ay gagamit tayo ng online application. Okay. So, wait lang. Magbibigay ako ng link, ilalagay ko sa chat box, and then you're going to click the link for you to be able to join the online game, okay? Please join sa ating first activity, ha? Okay. So, na-send ko na siya sa chat box. Paki-ano na lang, paki-click para makasali kayo. So, nandito na si Jess. Nandito na si Chan. Okay, si Baby Lee. Si Amy, nandito na. Si Erica. Si Dave Bato. Majade. Si Rensley, si JP. Okay. Si Rayomar. Wow, dumadami na sila. Si Merlin Piñone. Si Franz, si Jenner. Okay, welcome sa Kahoot, class. Janine, si Len. Okay, meron pa ba na gustong sumali? Okay, sige. Pwede na tayo mag-start, ha? Start na tayo. Okay? Okay, next. Okay, si Amy yung pinakamataas na score. Next tayo. Okay. So, tignan natin. Si Erica naman yung may highest score. For the next question. Okay, fourth question. Okay, so tingnan natin. Tingnan natin kung sinong nanalo. Okay, so third place ay si Jay. Second place si Babylin. At ang first place, tararan, si Jess. Okay, congratulations Jess for winning the game. So ikaw yung first place sa ating first activity. Okay. Lang yung screen. Okay, so let's go back to our screen. Okay, so the purpose of the game, class, the purpose of the game is for me to know your prior knowledge. Kung meron na ba kayong idea dun sa ating topic, which is about the different room setup styles. So yun yung ating naging laman ng ating online game kanina. So nag-enjoy ba kayo sa ating game, sa ating first activity? Please type in yes sa ating chat box. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much sa inyong mga responses, class. Okay? So, different room setup styles. Dako na tayo sa ating lecture, which is the different room setup styles. So, actually, there are many. So, meron tayong semicircle or complete circle. So, chevron. Meron tayong banquet. Pinakita ito kanina doon sa ating game. Meron tayong seminar. May boardroom. Classroom. Okay, parang may bukas po yata ang microphone. Okay, sabi ko po kanina, paki-mute ng ating microphone kapag wala tayong sasabihin. Ano po? Thank you so much. Okay, so meron tayong octagon, hollow rectangle, U-shape, E-shape, crescent, D-shape, theater auditorium, horseshoe, columns, and T-shape. Anyway, class, I already sent this sa ating Google Classroom. So lahat na materials na pwede natin magamit sa ating subject ay andun sa ating Google Classroom. Okay? So syempre, dapat iaakma din natin kung ano yung room setup style na ating gagamitin sa occasion na gaganapin or sa events na gaganapin. Okay, class? Okay, class, conference style. Itong picture na ito ay conference style. So ito ay ginaganap tuwing may mga meeting. Normally, board meeting. Okay. Hollow square, so pwede rin siya sa meeting. Depende kung anong setup ang gusto ng ating client. Banquet style. So yan, kapag merong parties, mga birthday, wedding, yung binyagan, yan, pwede yan. Pwede sa mga ganong klaseng event yan. So for your information class, itong picture na ito ay hindi ko ginrab sa internet. So this is an example of localization. So this photo was taken when I was at Nag-Iba National High School. So tayo noong aming founding anniversary. The purpose why I use this picture is because para ma-motivate kayo na sa inyong skills demonstration ay kaya nyo din gawin ito. Kasi ito ginawa lang din ng mga estudyante sa FBS. So kayang-kaya nyo rin class yan. Okay? And of course, kung wala tayong mga materials, pwede naman tayo maging resourceful, humanap ng mga materials na available na pwede natin gamitin sa ating activity. Okay, so this is a banquet style na kalimitang ginagamit natin sa mga occasions. Yeah. Okay. Yan. So ngayon naman ay magpe-play naman ako ng self-made video na i-explain nga yung topic natin, which is about setting the mood or ambience in the dining area. So pakipay lang ng attention natin sa video screen because later ay may itatanong din ako sa inyo ilang questions. Okay? So ito ay self-made video po. So wag niyo nang intindihin kung anong itsura ko doon sa video. Ang importante ay makuha natin kung ano yung mga importanteng details or points na kailangan natin para sa competency. Okay? So please watch this.
Good day, students. Welcome at Nag-Iba National High School Technical Vocational and Livelihood Track. I am Ma'am Tala, your instructor in Food and Beverage Services. Well, how are you? Are you excited to learn something new today? Yes? Well, that's great. By the way, I would like you to be guided by today's lesson objectives. Identify the 6 factors on how to set the mood or ambience in the dining area. Students, have you been in a restaurant? Or have you dreamed of putting your own restaurant someday? What do you observe with the setup? Well, I'm asking you this because our lesson for today is about setting the mood or ambience in the dining area. There are several ways to create the maximum level of efficiency in the restaurant environment. So this may include the following. First, lighting. Lighting can make an impact in the tone of the restaurant. Second, room temperature. It should project the feeling of friendliness and comfort. Be attractive and interestingly different. So make sure you clean first the area before the setting up. Third, music. Each piece of background music at the restaurant opts to be chosen with its much care and each ingredient by today's special. So how about you? What music would you like to play while you are eating at your favorite place? Fourth, floral and other decorations. Artificial flowers are a great way to go for decors at a restaurant because you don't need to replace them from time to time. And it is less expensive than real flowers and live plants. Fifth, privacy. It is a state of condition of being free from being observed or disturbed by other people and of being free from public attention. Sixth, background noise. Background noise is any sound other than the sound being monitored or primary sound. It is a form of noise pollution or interference. What do you think of examples of a background noise? that's the end of our lesson. Once again, I'm Teacher Taga, your instructor in Food and Beverage Services, once again saying, education makes you sufficient, skills make you efficient. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, so thank you for watching the video. Sana ay may napulot kayo dun sa ating video. Okay. Ayan. So the reason why I presented that video is because gusto kong mabigyan kayo ng idea kung paano gagawin yung mga activities sa inyong bahay. Ano, kasi since wala tayo sa classroom setup, nasa bahay tayo, so ayun na nga yung idea kung paano nyo siya gagawin. So kung ano lang yung mga available materials na meron kayo sa bahay, pwede nyo naman siyang magamit at pwede ring maging creative or maging maganda ang inyong output. Ano? Okay? So, na-observe nyo ba yung 6 factors to consider in setting the mood or ambience in the dining area? Okay, Hans. Na-observe mo ba? Okay, very good. How about you, Leia? Okay, so na-observe nyo. So, kung na-observe niyo, tignan natin siya isa-isa. Okay. So, isa sa mga factors na kailangan i-consider is lighting. So, bakit kaya kailangan ng lighting kapag tayo ay nagsaset ng dining area? Okay, anyway, doon sa video nga pala, ang unang ginawa ay nilinis muna siyempre yung area. Ano, kung saan isa-set up yung dining area. So, lighting. Okay, so bakit ito importante? Okay, Celeste? Yes. Okay, very good, Celeste. Importante yung lighting kasi syempre, ito yung may impact ito sa tone ng restaurant. Ano, kumbaga ay parang kung madilim siya, kung madilim yung dining area ninyo, hindi masyadong komportableng kumain, di ba? So nakadepende itong lighting kung anong day o time of the day. Ano? So nakadepende yan. Kapag sa umaga, syempre hindi naman ganun kaliwanag kasi meron naman tayo natural light. So paggabi, mas magandang gumamit ng lighting. Okay. So room temperature. Kumusta ang room temperature? Nakita ba natin sa video na ginawa? Okay. So Regine. Yes, importante ang room temperature. Kasi kung halimbawang mainit doon sa ating dining area, hindi tayo magiging komportable na kumain. Ano? Okay? So music, importante din ang music kasi nare-relax yung mind natin habang tayo ay kumakain. Then sa floral and other decorations class, kung napansin nyo, ay gumamit din ako ng localized na picture. Ano? So ito ay sariling atin dahil ito ay matatagpuan dito sa Oriental Mindoro. So yung lugar na yun ay sa Nature's Gift Garden Restaurant na matatagpuan sa Mansalay na kung saan ay napakaraming floral at decorations ang nasa loob ng kanilang restaurant, which is talaga nagbibigay ng beauty sa kanilang restaurant. Next is privacy. So importante ang privacy. Bakit? Okay, Gerson. Okay, very good, Gerson. So, kapag meron tayong mga sensitive na pinag-uusapan or kung tayo, halimbawa tayo yung customers, meron tayong sensitive na pinag-uusapan, hindi maririnig na kabilang table. Okay? So, lalo ngayon sa panahon ng pandemic, importante yung paglalagay ng privacy. So, lagyan natin ng konting distance yung mga table. Okay. Next is background noise. So, gaano ka-importante ito i-consider? Yes, Diana. Okay, very good. Siyempre, kailangan iakma natin yung place na ating pagtatayuan ng restaurant or ng dining area. Baka naman ang background ay maingay. So talagang ito ay nakaka-distract sa ating mga customers. Okay, so naintindihan ba itong 6 factors to consider in setting the mood or ambience in the dining area? Okay, kung naintindihan, paki-type in ng yes at kung may question, paki-raise ng hand. Okay, so walang questions. Yes, yes, yes. Ibig sabihin ay naintindihan. Ano? Okay. So kung naintindihan ay proceed na tayo sa next activity. Okay. skills demonstration na tayo. So yan, binigyan ko na kayo ng idea kanina. Nag-video na ako ng aking sarili para naman pagdating sa bahay ninyo ay magagawa niyo din siya. Okay. So, wait lang po ha. Naghahang lang ang aking ang aking laptop. Ganyan talaga pag live. Lalo sa online class, ganyan talaga, di ba? May na-encounter talaga tayo. Minsan si ma'am nawawala pa kasi nagawa ng internet. Pero may time naman na kaya nga ako nagpakabit na ng PLDT para hindi tayo ma-internet. Okay? Ngayon naman yung laptop ni ma'am. Okay, nag-hang. So ito ang kailangan nyo gawin. So self-made video. Ibig sabihin, you're going to take video of yourself. Na ginagawa yung competency. So choose any of the given events and apply the most suitable room setup styles and the factors in setting the mood or ambience of the dining area. So you have to look for an area in your house that best suits the occasion. So free kayo na pumili kung anong occasion ang gusto ninyong gawin. Depende yun siyempre sa inyong mga available materials or sa inyong resources. Yan. And then be resourceful and be creative. Kaya-kaya nyo naman yan napagandahin. Okay? So, kailangan lang ay mag-isip tayo or mag-strategize tayo kung paano natin magagawa yung activity na maganda. Okay? Yan. You may choose any of the following events to be demonstrated. So, pwedeng birthday celebration, romantic dinner for two, or garden wedding. So, depende yan sa inyo. Malaya kayo makapili kung anong gusto nyo. Okay? So, after that, explain ko lang itong rubrics for performance task evaluation. Okay, so ito yung mga gagradean sa inyo, yung emotional tone, yung music. Siyempre, video yung gagawin niya, di ba? So, i-check ko doon yung emotional tone, yung music, yung lighting, and decoration. Kapag strong, yung inyong work illustration, ay meron kayong 20 points. Okay? Sa bawat isa dyan. And then, kapag acceptable naman yung work illustration, you will get 15 points. And then, kapag almost there but acceptable, you will get 10 points. And then, show a weak illustration or the work was done but incorrect, you will get 5 points. So, wala naman tayong 0 dito. Okay, so anyway, itong rubric na ito ay makikita din sa ating Google Classroom. Okay, class? May question ba sa ating activity? Sa inyong gagawin na activity? May question ba? Paki-raise lang ng hand kung meron tayong question. At kapag naintindihan nyo na, ay paki-type in ulit lang nyo sa ating chat box. Okay, yes. Thank you so much sa inyong mga responses. Okay, so for our agreement naman, paano nyo ba isasubmit ang inyong output? So ito. You will submit your output in my email account. So, crystalgay.oliero@deped.gov.ph before our class time period ends. So, pwede rin naman sa ating Google Classroom para mas madali ko rin makita kung sino yung mga nakapagpasa. So, ang nakalagay dyan, before our class time period ends. So, kung ngayon ay 4 o'clock, dapat ay 5 o'clock na isubmit nyo na dahil meron tayong timeliness. So, please consider the timeliness. Meron diyang kapag nag-submit ka on time, so ibig ko sabihin dito ay kapag nakapag-submit ka ng before 5 o'clock or 5 o'clock, so you will get additional 10 points. Kapag hindi mo naman kinaya kasi kinulang ka sa time na mag-edit ng video, so, meron ka pa rin namang points. So, 6 points. And then, kapag ka late na, halimbawa, kinabukasan mo na siya na i-submit or sa isang araw, meron ka pa rin 3 points. So, wala tayong 0 dito, class. But be sure na meron kayong magawang output at may try nyo, may sagawa itong competency na ito. Okay ba, class? May questions? Aba, napakagagaling naman ng mga estudyante at hindi nagtatanong. Sigurado bang malinaw, class? Okay, So, ito yung sa ating Google Classroom. Pwede nyo dito i-submit. Anyway, ayun, hintayin ko na lamang i-submit ang inyong mga output diyan sa aking email account, crystalgay.oliero@deped.gov.ph bago mag alas 5 or hanggang alas 5 ng hapon. Anyway, meron pa naman kayong time para gawin yan. Simple lang. Hindi nyo naman kailangan pakabonggahan. You don't need to buy any materials para sa inyong activity. Yung madali nyo mahanap, madali nyo makita sa inyong bahay na makakontribute sa inyong activity, ay go na yun. Para sa inyong output. Okay, thank you so much, class. May question pa ba? So, none. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much din, class, sa inyo at na-appreciate ninyo ang ating klase for today. Okay, so kung wala na question, ay bigyan ko lang kayo ng isang line. Always set yourself success every day. Okay, class? Thank you so much. Kung wala nang tanong, thank you so much. Pwede na kayo mag-lead ng ating platform. Okay? Thank you so much po. Hanggang doon lang po yung aking demonstration.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Crystal. Thank you din po sa Miss Cat family, sa MinSU family. Nahanap ko kanina si Ma'am Mena Kaoili, our alumni secretary ng Calapan City. Siguro nasa FB Live siya. Okay, Sir Intoy, thank you. Thank you po sa lahat. Maraming salamat.
Sir. Thank you very much po, ma'am and sir, for that very wonderful demonstration. I hope that students were able to get or catch up with the whole demonstration teaching, so they would really have an idea. That gives us a very good idea of how we're going to have the class in online setup. Thank you very much. So at this juncture, we will be awarding certificate. Napakahusay po. According to Ma'am April ng inyong demonstration teaching. For sure nag-enjoy at natuto ng mahusay, ng mabuti ang ating mga pre-service teachers. So, let me proceed to the awarding of the certificate sa ating dalawang speakers, sa ating demonstrator and kay sir. Let me just share my screen. Wait lang. For one. Ayan, so again, we would like to award the certificate of appreciation. So let me read the content first. So Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro certificate of appreciation is hereby awarded to Miss Crystal Gay A. Olerio. Okay, in grateful recognition of her invaluable insight and expertise as a resource speaker or demonstrator during the webinar on K-12 Basic Education Program for Pre-Service Teacher. Given this 4th day of March 2022 at Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro, signed Dr. Romeo C. Castillo, Dean, College of Teacher Education, and Dr. Nemesio H. Davalos, Vice President for Academic Affairs. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that very wonderful demonstration. And of course, another certificate of appreciation is hereby awarded to Sir Mariana C. Cueto in grateful recognition for his valuable assistance to the College of Teacher Education of the Mindoro State University, for which we are very much in depth and appreciative. Given this fourth day of March 2022 at Mindoro State University, Alcate Victoria Oriental Mindoro, signed Dr. Romeo C. Castillo, Dean of the College of Teacher Education, and Dr. Nemesio H. Dabalos, Vice President for Academic Affairs. Thank you very much po. Daghang salamat, maraming salamat. And from the bottom of our heart, thank you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong mga tulong para sa aming mga pre-service teachers and of course sa aming faculty ng Mindoro State University. And at this juncture, we're going to have a wrap up. So as promised, so after maybe or the dean or Dr. Romeo, our dean, will be the one to have the wrap up. So it's all up to you, Dean, if you would like me to call some students to do the wrap up. Just tell me po.
Correct. Maybe you can call. Maybe if you have the chance, please.
Yes, okay, sige.
Good, that's good.
Ganito na lang. A volunteer will have his prize. I will be giving 100 pesos worth of GCash sa gustong mag-wrap up. So, mula muna dito sa ating Zoom conference. Okay, just type, thank you po. Okay, titingnan ko kung sino or pag wala, tatawag tayo. Anyone who would like to volunteer, so pakitype lang ng thank you po. Parang walang gusto ng 100 pesos. Galing yun sa personal GCash ko. Sige. Since medyo nahiya siguro yung iba no, na mag-volunteer para sa ating wrap up.
I'll be the one, sir.
Nakita ko kanina, siguro hingal po lang natin ng konting insights or words of appreciation. I have seen kanina si Sir Jess. Tama ba ako, Jess Andaya? Do we have Sir Jess Andaya here? Hanapin ko lang. Para ma-open ko ang mic. Sige, request ako ng unmute. Let us have Sir Franz Garcia from the Mindoro State University Bungabong Campus. Sir, can we have some words from you? What have you learned and what can you say about our webinar? Go ahead, Sir Franz. Ayaw talaga nila.
Mga nahihiya.
Ayaw niyo ba ng 100 pesos?
I'll just wrap it up, sir. Just to
Okay,
finish our
so
activity today.
let us have our very dear Dean for the wrap up.
Yeah.
Thank you po.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sir Magalay. First of all, before I give my wrap up, I would like again to thank our speakers for today. That started with Dr. Andaya, and then we have Dr. Balinton, then Dr. Lim, and then we have Ma'am Oliero, Crystal Gay, and Sir Marino Cueto. And also I would like to extend our gratitude for the following people. Again, to our two division superintendents, Dr. Laida Lagar Mascareñas and Ma'am Susana Bautista. And also those who assist us in this endeavor, like Dr. Charity R. Agabas, Kapunitan, Chipsy ID of DepEd Oriental Mindoro. Also Sir Christian Alberto, I said the senior chief specialist of DepEd Calapan City. Also to Sir Elmar Alzate, education supervisor in mathematics. And the rest of the supervisors, if all are mentioned a while ago, thank you so much for your assistance, for your big help. So for my group, I would like to extend also my gratitude to our, baka malimutan ko to our program chairs. First of all, to our president, University President Dr. Levi Arago Jr., to our Vice President for Academics, Dr. Nemesio H. Dabalos, to our faculty, CTE, and to the program chairs and the ST supervisors, most especially to our MC today, na talagang naghirap talaga sa ating maghapon na discussion, si Professor Magalay. Ano po? Si Professor Enrique Magalay Jr. And also to si Doc April Bagon Faeldan, who also assisted us. And the rest of the faculty members who are always with us and program chairs, who without them, we cannot be able to fulfill and the success of this feat or activity. Thank you so much po ha. Maraming pong salamat. Daghang salamat. Sabi nga ni Sir Magalay, daghang salamat. Talaga, kita naman nyo ha. Ang dami niyang alam na languages. Kanina may Chinese pa siya para may Korean pa parang oo, tama, nabanggit niya kanina yan Kaya ako nakangiti So as being mentioned by the first speaker, igsaan ko na lang ito, talagang pagod na ang ating mga nakikinig. So the first speaker made mention about the origin of the K-12 program that covers kindergarten and the 12 years of basic education. Mapaiksi ko lang. What are the salient features of the K-12? Number one, making the curriculum relevant to learners. So she mentioned about contextualization. That is very important. And enhancement program. Enhancement. Then number two is proficiency through language. All right, that is correct. We need to develop the language proficiency of our students. That's why we have 13 years of primary schooling. She made mention about 2 years of senior classes, additional senior classes. That is correct. Ensuring integrated seamless learning. Like, for example, the spiral progression that we have. Then gearing up for the further senior high school. Now, as I said also this morning, what is the difference between K and 12? K stands for kindergarten and 12 refers to the succeeding 12 years of basic education. And then also for the K to 12 program, she made mention about the different learning skills, learning areas that are closely correlated, like on information, on media, on technology, on skills, innovation, language, life, and career skills, and also for learning areas such as technology and livelihood and education, TLE, mathematics and science, arts and humanities. So this is the summary of Ma'am Cristeta, or Ma'am Christy Andaya. For Dr. Eva Balinton, kababata ko po yan si Dr. Eva Balinton. Nabigla ako nung makita kong, andito ang Madam Eva Balinton. So she made mention about the two kinds of lesson planning, which is the DDL and DLP. But we are accustomed to use the daily lesson plan, which is detailed. Kaya lang tinanong ko kanina, what are the functions of the 7 E's to the lesson planning of the secondary and elementary, as I mentioned a while ago, regarding the 7 E's. Kasi yun ang bago Yung with the use of elicit, engage, explore, explain, elaborate, extend, and evaluate. Now, our Dr. Balinton made mention about the detailed lesson plan. Yeah, she discussed about the objectives, content, learning resources, and procedure, and many more. Then, I am interested with the WHLP, the lesson planning under the new normal, which is called weekly home learning plan. It is very important because we are under pandemic for 2 years. So what is being given emphasis? Yung MELCs, the most essential learning competencies. Sabi nga from 15,000 competencies to 5,000 only learning modules, self-learning modules. So we heard about the different parts of WHLP, and I hope that our students learn a lot from this, because I think when I saw some observation, some demonstration teaching of our students, they did not even include the new WHLP in presenting their subject. They just follow the old detailed lesson plan, the old parts of the lesson plan, but not the kind of lesson planning being given by Dr. Valentin. So then for the third speaker, we have Dr. Elsa M. Lim in the afternoon. So she discussed, and together with also Dr. Hello, ma'am.
Nga po, nasa school kayo?
Ako po ay nakaharap po sa isang webinar. Naka-webinar po ito. Webinar po. Pasensya na po kayo. Nagra-wrap up lang po ako ng diniscuss ng mga napakaraming supervisors po ng DepEd.
Sige po. Ay, okay, sir.
Pasensya na po
Yari
kayo.
na po yung MR, sir eh.
Ay,
Okay
thank
po.
you so much. Thank you so much,
Sige,
Madam.
sir. Okay po.
Kikausapin ko kay mamaya. Okay po. And then, going to the third and fourth speakers on assessments, I love the comprehensive discussion of Dr. Lim, and at the same time, Dr. Dindo Generato. They are with different divisions, one from Calapan City, the other one is Oriental Mindoro. And I found a lot of lessons, a lot of learnings from them, especially that they discuss summative and formative assessments from the DepEd Order number 31 to DepEd Order number 8 as being explained regarding alternative learning modalities of the DepEd Order of 31. And then when it comes to, this is very important, the assessments. Ms. Lim made mention about classroom assessment. Why do we have the classroom assessment? She said that this is very important for profiling our students. How assessment is linked to the learning standards and pedagogies. Assessment should be aligned with objectives, definitely. Assessment should be like instruction, right? Assessment should recognize diversity of learners because we have different kinds of learners. So diversity of learners. So it must be aligned to our assessment. The formative assessment should serve the learner summative assessment. The formative assessment serve the learner summative assessment. And assessment results should be used by the teachers to help students learn better. And assessment is a joint process that involves teachers and learners. These were the very in-depth discussion, very comprehensive of Dr. Lim and Dr. Hiderato. And the last person who discussed with us or gave us a demonstration teaching by Madam K. Oliero. Oh yeah, I said wow. Why? Because of the applications of instructional materials that are needed to encourage our students to learn, to listen. And learning can easily be found because when it comes to the use of Kahoot, with the use of videos, and with the use of some questions that would be used as guides of our students, very important because as I said this morning, we can only encourage the students if we have good instructional materials. I am very thankful. We are very thankful. We are very grateful to the generosities that were shown to us, very appreciative, shown to us by DepEd Calapan City and DepEd Oriental Mindoro for this morning's affair, the webinar on K-12 program. I am very happy, despite the fact that this is a very long way of listening and learning from them. Still, I am here and willing really to understand what they are saying, at the same time to learn from what they said a while ago. And as I said, I hope that the students, our students, are listening and they are participating. That is why I was surprised when Professor Magalay ask some students to make some wrap up. I do not know why our students are still timid and shy. As I said, language proficiency can be developed if you are given the chance to speak with ease and confidence that you are 3 steps ahead of the other countries abroad. Because as I said, we are on globalization, which is giving a chance for our students to compete globally. And that is how we can measure our students in the CTE. Okay, thank you very much. I shorten it up because we are running out of time. Thank you, sir, Professor Magalay, to introduce our professor for the closing remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you very much, Dean. My pleasure always. Okay, at this juncture, let us hear a closing remarks from our previous dean and a very good friend of mine, very competitive and very beautiful, as always, Ma'am Doc April Bagon Faeldan.
Okay, thank you, Sir Ike. So to our college dean, sa ating masipag na college dean sa Romy, at sa mga bigating speakers natin sa araw na to, mga DepEd officials. So thank you so much sa mga pre-service teachers natin at saka yung mga student teachers natin, may co-faculty, program chairs, ayan, warm greetings po sa ating lahat. So kahit na pandemic, ayan, sabi nga ang bilin sa amin sa ng taga-CHED, learning must continue. Ayan. Kaya po today's activity was indeed fruitful and productive. So tunay na siksik at umaapaw ang mga kaalamang natutunan ng aming mga estudyante. So isa-isahin ko na rin pong ipahayag ang aking appreciation sa ating speakers from DepEd Calapan City at sa Division ng Oriental Mindoro, Dr. Dindo, Dr. Andaya, Dr. Lim, ang ating magaling na demo teacher, Madam Oliero, Dr. Eva Valenton, Dr. Mr. Christian Alberto, at si Sir Marino po, ayan. Sobrang pasalamat po kami kasi noon pa man, kapartner na namin ang DepEd para hubugin ang aming mga student teachers. So hindi po sila successful or hindi magiging successful ang aming mga student teachers kung hindi dahil lagi nyo kaming tinutulungan. So natatandaan ko po dati, no, itong mga ganitong session ay kung hindi pandemic, tiyak nandun tayo sa sa loob ng aming auditorium ngayon or nasa gymnasium tayo ngayon. Pero kahit pandemic, ayan, tuloy pa rin po tayo. So, sa atin pong mga student teachers, no, isa lang ang challenge ko kayo, dahil soon madedeploy na kayo sa iba-ibang elementary and high schools. So, yung mga baon or yung mga natutunan nyo ngayong araw na to, ayan, baunin nyo yan at maging mahusay kayong mga guro. So again, our sincere thanks po sa lahat ng mga tumulong sa amin para maging successful ang event na ito. Ayan, mabuhay po tayong lahat. Thank you so much po.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Doc April Faeldan, and sa lahat po, especially to our dean who had this initiative. Thank you very much. To our pre-service teachers, so just bear in mind, this might be the last stage before you would be deployed in the battlefield of schooling, the last stage of schooling, but for sure this is not the last stage of learning. So continue learning, show us what you've got, and good luck. So you have many more to come. Okay, any last words, Dean, before I say goodbye also?
Yeah, I just would like to remind again that on Tuesday, you are going to hear two of the brilliant and excellent speakers, Professor Magalay and Professor Binyosa. Do not forget that. So again, we are going to ask our CTE, our faculty of the CTE to attend this because this is very important also. This is also being asked by the AACUP always when the AACUP is evaluating us. So that's it. Maraming salamat po. Maraming pong salamat.
Thank you very much po. So once again to our pre-service teachers, Awebwa in French, Sawadi in Thailand, Sayonara in Japan, Annyeong in Korea, adios in Spanish, and paalam sa aking ex. Ayun. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat for sharing your time with us. So your presence is highly appreciated. Thank you very much. This is Mr. Enrique Magalay Jr., your MC for the day, and I am signing off. Bye-bye. God bless everyone. Take care.